All right, hello YouTube. Welcome to episode number 2 for Wolves of the Calla. I had to think for a second on the number, but yeah, we're Wolves of the Calla, so this is still just number 2. So, yeah, we are here. A little bit of bouncing around, but let's go ahead and hit the intro, and we can get started on our second Wolves of the Calla book club.
Yeah.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland to the Dark Tower came.
We are Ka-tet, one from many. Let the palaver begin.
All right, welcome to a random Friday here now.
Yeah.
for Dark Tower Palaver.
It's been a while since we've done a Friday.
Yeah, I don't even know. Have we done a Friday on the live streams?
On the live streams? I don't know. We've been pretty regular with if it's not Saturday, it's the next Saturday or we do it early or late on a Saturday. But
yeah,
in this rare instance, we got to do it on a Friday, man.
Yeah, all kinds of shenanigans afoot.
Oh, man, yeah.
Let's go ahead and, dive on in. This is Dark Tower Palaver. This is our podcast covering Stephen King's magnum opus, The Dark Tower series, as well as the extended King universe. But, of course, in a book club, it is just going to be Dark Tower. In this case, this is just going to be Wolves of the Calla as we finally join our intrepid gunslingers. Last episode was an oddity. We went the entire episode without a gunslinger. We had mention of them, but we did not have them in our story at all. So very strange. Let's go ahead and jump on into the intro stuff real quick. There's no spoiler warning. This is a book club. We're going to stay where we're at or before. We won't jump ahead. I don't remember if we had any spoiler notes. So, sometimes we have a spoiler section at the very end, but I don't think I had any notes on this one. We're just kind of diving into the story for the first bit here. So this should be a completely spoiler-free episode. Unless something sparks off one of our brains while we're talking here.
It's happening.
And then if you want to find the podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Audible. You can also find us on any podcasting service of your choice. Of course, if you want to subscribe, rate, and review us on any of those, we'd appreciate that. And then if you want to join us for the live streams, you can do that over here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. We do the live streams every other week, every fortnight. And of course, if you're joining us on the YouTube side, you can either join us live or you can join us in the future. If you want to go back and watch old episodes, you certainly can. You can drop comments on there if you're watching an old one. Of course, if you're here live, you can just jump on into the chat and be part of the conversation. And then, of course, like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. So this may be the most chaotic episode we've ever had because, for one, it got delayed a week. And then because of my family knowing nothing but the last minute, we had to move it from a Saturday to a Friday. So here we are bouncing around like a damn ping pong ball.
Yeah,
so.
Apologies about last week, folks. I was dying. I was so sick.
Yeah.
I didn't hardly have a voice, and Tad's like, dude, if we need to move the episode, we can. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, I think I looked it up. I think the last time I was sick was April of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So
Tad was very much in the away from me.
Yeah, somehow I've dodged illness. That I mean, I don't have children. That's
a huge, because it's funny. My daughter literally started school on Wednesday. And Thursday, I woke up with a sore throat. I'm like, she brought it home with her.
Oh, yeah. They're little disease bags, they are. And then, of course, if you want to find the show notes, you can do that at darktowerpalaver.com. Maybe in the next couple weeks, be keeping your eyes on darktowerpalaver.com. There might be some refreshing things happening over there. And then if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. And at every level of support, you get access to our Discord server, so you can chat with us anytime. You get access to our monthly hangouts. And then at the highest support level, you get to co-host a show with us. If you want to contact the show, Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
Real fast, Tad mentioned the Patreon. We just wanted to point out August is a month where we are going to have 3 episodes. But on that, a scheduling note, Next week's episode does have to get bumped back a week because
So we're going to have 3 in September,
we're
but
going to
it
have
will
3
be a
in
book
September,
club.
but it will be a book club. And then the hangout will be on the following week's episode, just to clarify the scheduling.
Yeah.
So, episode today, Friday in August.
Which should have been last week's episode.
Which should have been last week's episode, which was the 15th. Next week's episode, the 29th, has to be bumped to September 5th. And then the following week after that, September 12th's episode, September 11th, will be the next Patreon hangout.
Yeah.
As per the normal schedule.
Yeah.
So that is not going to get affected at all. It is kind of helter-skelter right here.
I mean, summers are usually chaotic.
I do
so.
Apologize. Next week, I am moving, which is why I am unavailable. So it is not anything to do with Tad or his fault. So if anyone wants to be blamed, blame me. It's my fault.
Oh, we always do anyway.
I know, it's true. That's facts.
Yeah.
But if you want to reach us, you can email us at show@darktowerpalaver.com. You can also find us on our Instagram and Threads. It's Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces on that one. And then we're also on Blue Sky. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then we're on the Twitter. It's at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. And then our Facebook is facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. And check out our merchandise. It's tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver. Get yourself a hashtag Tad is terrible sticker to go on your water bottle. Right there, just like that.
I still got to
Like
figure
that.
out when the next sale is so I can get me a new shirt. I need a new shirt and I keep missing the damn sales. So
If you showed up one day in a hashtag Tad is terrible t-shirt, I think the world would just
I mean, I would never wear lies.
I mean,
So
it's not a lie. It's scientifically proven, actually. It's backed by science.
Nah. All right. So we are jumping back in here. We are still in part 1, which is titled, the subtitle of it is Toadash. We are now entering chapter 1. So we previously did the prologue. I actually just realized I don't have my Kindle up. I thought I took notes on this, but yeah, I don't, or no, I did. Yeah. So a note on the structure of the book. Now that we're out of the prologue, we have the prologue, then we have 3 parts and an epilogue. Parts 1 and 3 both have 7 chapters, and the middle part has 9 chapters. So that's kind of, I think in the previous book clubs, we've kind of laid out what the overall outline is for how the book is structured. And so, yeah, you basically have a prologue and an epilogue, and then 3 parts in the middle, the actual book. And then, yeah, like I said, parts 1 and 3, 7 chapters, and the middle one is the fat one, nine chapters.
Big honker right in the middle.
Yeah. So that's the way this is laid out. We are now out of the prologue
into Wizard and Glass, wasn't it?
There was some symmetry to it, but we didn't have an epilogue. It was just it was the modern day stuff capping the beginning and the end, and then you had the chunks in the middle was Roland's backstory. So that's that's the way we have it structured here, and we are entering chapter 1 here. So this is titled The Face on the Water, and again we're joining our gunslingers for the first time.
Did you say part 1 Toadash?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure.
that is the overall.
And last time we got introduced to a few new characters that we'd never met before. And found out that the wolves are coming for the children.
Yeah.
And there's gunslingers to the
I don't remember if we
west.
talked about it. What's your thought immediately when you're reading that and they say the wolves are coming? Like, are you thinking like werewolves or
bandits? I think that's like the name, currently I'm playing Borderlands 4. The bad guys in that are called Rippers. I figured it's just kind of like a name. They're still human.
Oh, okay.
So I figure it's just kind of like
I think I was imagining werewolves.
Yeah, I never went that far. I just thought the wolves. I pictured it
like a gang or something.
Like a gang.
Yeah.
That's honestly what I pictured the first time. Because I never got the sense that it was like, especially in that first town meeting, there's never the beasts or the animals come for our children. I never got that.
Yeah.
So it kind of made me feel human.
I mean, of course, maybe it wasn't logical for me to think werewolves, because why would it be so logical about it only takes one of the 2 twins and that kind of stuff.
Werewolves just tear everything
and
apart.
within a certain age range too. So I don't know. That's just what I thought, because I mean we are in a Stephen King realm here, and King,
wolves,
King is known for his classic monster movie stuff. So, but yeah, that's So now chapter 1, we are now finally going to join our gunslingers.
The Ka-tet.
for
Yeah,
the first
exactly.
time.
So it starts off and says, "Time is a face on the water. This was a proverb from long ago and far off
And
mages.
Agomorphy does say werewolves as well, so I wasn't the only
okay.
one.
You're not
so
the only one.
I guess you were just in denial. You're like, oh god, it can't be werewolves.
I mean, it is like one of my greatest fears, so no. Just that would be like, I'll talk about that on Geekery Bites, but man, a rabid werewolf would just be like the worst thing possible, right?
Suddenly it just gets docile. It's all cute looking.
It goes the opposite because it already is aggressive. Eddie Dean had never been there, Magus, except in a way he had. Roland had carried all of them to Magus one night. Storying long as they camped on I-70, Roland had told them the story of his first love, Susan Delgado, perhaps his only love, and how he lost her.
It's got to be his only love, right?
I mean, the only other thing we have currently in evidence is Allie, and
yeah, but I'm just
that was
saying,
definitely described as not love.
No, 100%. But it's like, don't just from what we know of Roland, do you think he ever opened himself
No.
up again for love? Like just
No.
from what we've seen, like you said, Allie, we've actually seen like that, like whatever, and it's just
the level of intimacy of having sex with someone, but you could definitely tell that it was not any way
exactly.
beyond that.
Yeah, exactly. And he didn't hesitate in destroying her.
I mean, she asked for it. Literally, I'm not kidding. Like, she begged for it, so,
that's true. She'll be coming back up again later on here.
Yeah. My note here, I it's still awesome to think that Roland told the whole story in one night.
Yeah, time slippage indeed.
And that will definitely be coming up in this section. So
yeah.
I like that you threw that in there. I love the line that they had all traveled to Magus and experienced the whole thing with Roland. Is
Yeah.
how King puts it, is that they didn't just go and see, they experienced it with him. They felt it with him. And so, like, it's more... to me, it just seems like the Ka-tet's closer than it ever has been.
Yeah, and it gives them, as well as us as readers, an insight into Roland, right? I feel like we as readers now know Roland way more than we did in book 3, right? Like, just like we have a more greater understanding of truly who he is as a character. So, and then my note here, elsewhere in this episode, Eddie does mimic Rhea, and they had to have seen it in some way because there's no way in hell Roland was doing voices. He is many things, but Frank Muller, he is not.
He saw her in the grapefruit in the Green Palace, remember? Because she does talk to them.
Yeah, but it's... I don't know. I'm still curious.
One time, I'm with you.
I'm still curious on
one time talking is not enough to nail down an imitation.
Yeah,
but a very long story with her in it, lots.
Yeah, I do feel like there's maybe some sort of psychic element going on with the storytelling.
I could see it.
Where
I could see it.
Yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. There is a section later here where Roland talks about Jake and says, like, if something had happened to them, we would feel it.
Yeah.
So there is definitely that element being introduced here in this section that we talk about today.
Yeah.
But going on, the saying might have been true when Roland was a boy, not much older than Jake, and Eddie thought it was even truer now. The world was winding down like a mainspring in an ancient watch. Roland had told them the basic things like compasses can't be trusted, as crazy as it seems. Time had likewise started to soften.
We saw a watch going nuts, right? Was that what it was?
We haven't seen it. It
was
Jake's watch.
We haven't seen a compass, but we saw the watch.
Dutch Hill.
I feel like we're already kind of familiar with that idea that like our technologies are not, they're completely worthless. Like if Jake had brought a compass, honestly, I don't even think we need to see it to know. And that line doesn't even need to be said for me to know. Like, if Jake had brought a compass, it would have been fucking worthless.
It actually talks about it more in detail, and I just didn't make note of it, but I remember it from when I did my studies. It talks about that one day the compass will point true north. The next day it'll be pointing straight south.
Yeah.
The next day it'll be just slightly south.
Yeah.
And it's just all over the place all the time.
And I think since the watch, which was what, book 3, I feel like
I've
always just had that vibe that like nothing of our world.
It was counting down, remember?
Yeah.
It was like 98, 98, 97, 94, and he showed it to Roland, and Roland was like, all right. He just didn't give a shit.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise. So
yeah.
I think I've always just assumed that most of our things that would like help us in our world would be completely worthless in his. So yeah, but then again, it is a different world too.
It is.
I mean, the first time I read this, I was always suspicious this was a post-apocalyptic our world. But I think there's plenty of evidences that I overlooked my first time reading that like, no, this isn't our world, man. This is a different moon. There's different elements to this world that are
the constellations are different.
Yeah, there's
and everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Not Roland. Eddie and Susannah point that out that they feel good when they're under Roland stars.
Yeah. So ultimately, like maybe we shouldn't even think it's that supernatural the compass doesn't work because it's like, is there a polar north, like a magnetic north on this planet? We don't know that. Like we can't assume that. So I don't know. Interesting.
Also, was the magnetic north destroyed in whatever caused the world to move on.
Ooh, what if they're in the middle of the magnetic reversal of the poles, which allegedly has happened to our world? What if they're in the middle of it right now?
Oh, I've never heard of that. That happened to our planet?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up later.
Yeah.
I'm in.
What if we're right in the middle of that? In his world?
Yeah, and that's what messed
That's why
everything up.
that's why the compasses are
Okay.
wonky.
These days, Eddie could have. There were days that Eddie could have sworn were 40 hours long. The next afternoon, barely afternoon, you could see darkness bloom as it rushed over the horizon. Eddie wondered if time had gotten lost. They had ridden and riddled out of a city called Lud on Blaine the Mono. Blaine is a pain, Jake had said on several occasions. Blaine actually was more than a pain. Blaine had been utterly mad, and Eddie had killed it with illogic. Something Susan said Eddie was naturally good at, sugar.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Time slippage is something that is not unique to this story, but I can't think of another story that is similar in the ways that it's executed. Where
I think the only ones I could really think of are like that feel like this is portraying in this story is like multiple personality stuff, where like you're with a character and it's they're changing
like Moon Knight,
like and there's different versions of
Yeah.
that, but it's like because then like the editors have a lot of fun with that because they can do these like sharp cuts because you literally might be losing days, so it's like you're suddenly like in bed and then suddenly you wake up on the top of like the World Trade Center, like it's just
there's
like,
there's one line I can't remember. Maybe it is in Moon Knight where it's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm late, I'm coming in. It's like, dude, you're fired. I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. 3 weeks?
Yeah,
like
and I, like that you're right. That's one of them. But I know that's a common thing.
Yeah.
Like, but it's usually something like that where like someone's phasing in and out with like maybe a different personality or something.
Yeah.
You don't see it with time very often. Like
where it's just like you see a group. Like imagine if like Lord of the Rings is the one that I always think of because walking. But imagine if they were walking and the hobbits and everyone just had to deal with a day that was 40 hours long. And then the next day it's 17 hours.
Yeah.
And then the next day it's 20.
You know what somebody should do with that when it comes to like storytelling with like, TV or film?
Yeah.
Streaming. And you literally like do it to where you actually do like an episode that's like 3 hours long.
Oh,
and the
just
rest
randomly you drop a 3-hour episode on someone.
But like you make it within the context that's like maybe you don't go full on where it's like a complete gimmick and every episode's like covers a day's journey, whatever.
But what if you have like one episode every season it's the longer day of the month or something?
Yeah.
In this world, one day a month. It's random. One day a month. You wake up and you just realize, yep, today's going to be 36 hours long.
Or you don't even like give the audience that kind of repeatability, but there is just a thing where it's like maybe there is like you're like within a few episode block, it's like, oh, each episode's kind of a day, and then suddenly there's an episode where it's like that week the episode drops and it's fucking 3.5 hours long, but it's still just a day.
Yeah.
And it's like that would be an interesting because streaming can get away with that shit,
Yes,
right?
they could.
You couldn't do that on traditional stuff, and movies
Yeah.
obviously couldn't get away with it. So, but my note, time has been very fuzzy pretty much since the beginning. I agree. There are movie shows and books that play with time, and making it non-linear, but the crazy jumps here like this are a lot more rare. Like I said, outside of the fact of like usually it's when like someone's losing their consciousness in some way.
Yeah.
Like they're being taken over, they're being possessed, they have multiple. There's something going on. Like it's usually a conscious like loss of consciousness. It's not just that time just slipped. The
time is fucked.
That I can think of. But
Yeah.
non-linear is the big one in movies and television that
Yes.
they love doing, where it's just like, oh hey, you thought this is all linear? Well, fuck you. No, it's not. It's out of order in some way to discombobulate the audience.
Yeah.
So
I just watched a movie a couple days ago that had that. It was The Gentleman. It starts off with an event and then it jumps forward and then jumps back to everything that goes before that event. So it's just like, yeah, they do that on purpose. But it just was dawning on me reading this, like, man, King's got a unique take on time here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember multiple characters being aware of time just being off.
Yeah.
There's no other way of putting it. Like, it's just off. Like Roland, there was a thing with Roland where he's like, that's a minute. And they're like, yeah, no, that wasn't a minute. That was like 47 seconds or something, But then if they tried it again now, Roland would be like, that's a minute. And he'd be like, nope, that was a minute 30.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's weird how time is.
And I think Roland's talked a lot about time slippage, but we talked about it that the first time we've really experienced it in this series was that 30-mile jump at the end of the last book. So it was kind of disorienting for us as readers because it was like, wait, what the fuck just happened? Like,
We've had like the shuffle in book 2.
Yeah.
But there
That's
was little
different.
things. There was little things in there, but again, that was caused by something.
Yeah, that's heroin
This
and
is just-
poison.
Yeah, this is
So.
just straight up. Time is just broken.
Yeah,
You know.
which is an interesting thing.
Yeah. I love the way the king recaps in this way, like right here. Instead of just stating facts, I like that Eddie is the one telling us what happened from his point of view. And I think when I was going through your sections, you commented on it as well, is that King's doing a great job of recapping it. We'll see that later. But
Yeah.
I just love that it's not just, in the last book, this is what happened. This is what was said. This is the events.
Yeah.
Instead, it's Eddie just like, man.
But he does do that. He has the argument, but it makes
He
makes me
does.
wonder if the argument was made after the fact. Maybe
Yeah.
even the editor's like, "Hey, we need
Still
you
need
to
a little more.
We need you to recap like
Yeah.
what happened in the previous books." But looks like with it. But then again, I wonder if King's also being conscious. Maybe he knew he was going to do those argument sections,
What-
but people might skip them.
Yes.
So you're going to, kind of give a little bit of a
What I always
because there's years
Yeah.
between these books, right? We're not these
Yes.
aren't. I mean, we're all reading them like back to back now, but in real time, I mean that. There might be people that pick this book up just going, "Oh, the new Stephen King," and having never read the previous
Yeah.
book. So it's like
you
it's-
start this and you're just like, this is a weird way to start a book. And then, but the argument is there to be like, whoa, hold up.
Yeah,
This is book 5.
yeah,
Hold up.
yeah. It reminds me of Dan Carlin on the Hardcore History. He always
He
says,
always does that.
yeah, he's always like, "This is part 5 of a longer series. If you don't like, if you don't care about linearity, go ahead and just start here. But otherwise, you probably want to listen to the previous 57
matters.
hours of
Yeah, it
stuff."
matters.
Yeah, pretty much. So, a lot of recapping of the previous book here in the text.
Yeah. And then you got your note right here.
No,
Oh, you already, that was
yeah.
your note. Okay, I'm sorry. I had already scrolled down. So going on, they had detrained in Topeka that wasn't quite part of the world where they had come from. This Topeka had a team called the Kansas City Monarchs. Coca-Cola was called Nozala, and the biggest Japanese car maker was Takuro rather than Honda. And the world had been overwhelmed by a plague which had killed damn near everyone. I paused here because I just wanted to be like, how would Eddie know that the plague had killed almost everyone?
I think generally just like the newspapers and probably just to feel that so I'm thinking, looking at it from the perspective of how does he know how wide it was, because there is definitely an alien aspect. But we saw graffiti that was very like post, right? Like
Yeah.
you can like it's the downfall of society type thing,
Right.
like whatever. And I think like there was enough signs that like. And people are pointing to like the old woman and stuff. So it's like there was enough things where it's just like that probably wasn't happening in normal society, and then suddenly this virus. No, it's like no. I think like
There was enough indicators to say that some people survived.
yeah, exactly.
That's okay. That makes more sense. I forgot about the signage and like the old woman's in Nebraska and stuff like that. As soon as you said that, it rang the bell.
yeah.
But I'm just like, how did he know that almost everyone? Like, if you woke up, walked outside, and there was no one around, and a newspaper blows by, and you pick it up, and it says super flu wiping out is killing humanity.
I mean, the first thing I do is go, "What the hell's a newspaper? I haven't seen one of these in decades."
but you're still old enough to know what a newspaper is. But if you then started exploring, you wouldn't be like, well, some people must have survived. I mean, you might because you've read The Stand,
Yeah.
and so you would assume if I'm alive, there's got to be others.
Also, Eddie is a cockeyed optimist.
that is true.
He was,
saw that
he was
going
hoping,
in the
he was
Lud.
hoping for Keebler elves in Lud.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's just his optimism.
That is probably it. So going on, the passage of time all through this had seemed clear to Eddie. He was scared shitless for most of it, all of them except maybe Roland, but yes, time had been clear and real. He never had the sense of slippage when walking with bullets in his ears to drown out the thinny. But after the confrontation at the Glass Palace with Jake's old friend TikTok Man and Roland's old friend Flag or Martin or just perhaps Marilyn, time had changed. Not right after the confrontation, though, Eddie thought. It was after we traveled in the damn pink ball and saw Roland kill his own mother did time start to slip. Yes, that was when it happened. They had awakened in a clearing 30 or so miles from the palace and could still see it. They had lunch that was left for them and found themselves back on the path of the beam beyond the thinny. Near them on a branch was a message from Flag saying, "Renounce the tower. This is your last warning." Ridiculous, really. Roland would no more renounce the tower than he'd kill Jake's pet Billy Bumbler than roast him on a spit for dinner. I never thought the time wasn't slipping before the palace. I know they say the time is off before Lud, but I guess that's right. I don't think there is an example of slippage before that.
Yeah, and that's my note. So we covered it because the 30-mile jump, we talked about how previously Roland talked about time being funny, but we, as readers, even hadn't really experienced it. Because that's why it was so discombobulating when that happened, because we're just like, wait, Roland's talked about time before, but this just happened to us, too. Like, sometimes the readers pulled out and you're able to kind of see what's going on.
Yeah.
And the characters are thrown off, but we're not. So, and then, Shuffle chapter, which you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
That felt like time slippages, but with heroin withdrawal and lobstrosity poisoning, I don't think that, there's a lot of question that time was even moving that weird then.
No.
But here's a question. Is time really elastic in Roland's world, or did the ball fundamentally change you in some way that causes it? Roland thinks it's just part of his world, but he did touch the ball when he was 14. So does going into a ball, is that what's making time slip?
So you're saying that they're infected with something that's making time slip. I would point to book 1 that Brown says time is funny. One of the very first people we ever meet.
Yeah.
And so I think that there are
But he's also isolated.
I think there are enough examples of other people saying it throughout the series that it's not just the people who have been in the pink ball, but it could have been, I'll take your theory and just give it a twist. What if Roland infected the world with something because of the pink ball and because of what he's doing after going into the pink ball? What if that's what happened that causes time to start being broken? Because how do you break time?
Yeah.
Like, that didn't happen in the war with, between Gilead and Farson.
Yeah.
They didn't break time. So what broke time? It's got to be something supernatural, right? Well, the last big thing that we saw that was supernatural was Roland and the pink ball. And the only reason that Roland got out of the pink ball is because he got punched in the head.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if something happened there that snapped the world.
And we also know the ball poisons, right? Because of Rhea and stuff. So it's like,
maybe it infects spread from him.
Yeah, is the low?
Is he patient zero?
I mean, I don't even know, because again, I'm not sure if there's enough evidence that time is truly that crazy. Is it supernaturally crazy for anyone that we've seen from? Brown says, yeah, time is funny. Like, was the last time, or when did he come by? And he's like, I don't know. And he's trying to measure it off of the last time the Bean Man came or whatever. And it's again, though, you're living out in the middle of fucking nowhere on your own. That doesn't feel supernatural to me. That just feels like you're out kind of living this perpetual fucking circular life.
Well, he's asking about the man in black and Tull, and is like, when was he here? Time's funny,
Yeah.
So everyone says it.
Well, no, but I'm saying, though, that I don't think that is saying anything, because, again, you're living out on your own with no human contact. All you have is a fucking bird. And,
no, the people in Tull say it as well. Because, he asks about the man in black in Tull, to Allie and people like that. And so that's where I'm just.
But none of that.
It's also in other places too.
Super overtly could be supernatural, because also the other thing too is and I think I have a note up on this later, is we're in a world I think a lot of people don't realize that our world was not nearly as time focused until the trains really started becoming a big thing, because there was no reason to be down to the minute on shit.
No.
So it's just you just woke up when you woke up, you worked your farm, you did whatever. It's
the sun starts to go down, you go to bed.
Yeah, we became slaves of time when we started to need to regiment our time based on train schedules and stuff. So it's we're in a world that obviously doesn't need time in that same way. So it's are they going to be as good as you and I to go, oh, we recorded 3 weeks ago? No, that for them, it's just
3 weeks ago. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I've taken a shit 3 times. What it's so it's probably been a week and a half. It's weird.
You get a sense of that with Magus, where they measure things by the moon.
Yeah,
the peddler's moon and the demon moon and all these different ways.
Yeah,
their ways of measuring the seasons and stuff like that. But when it comes down to narrow that down even more, give me a month. Give me a month in Magus. I don't think that they would.
Yeah, and
I
also
think they would more go off of the phase of the moon kind of thing.
Yeah, and I wonder, maybe structure that was there maybe in the old times before Gilead fell, maybe things are a little bit more structured, because you had your seasons and that kind of stuff. But it's once that's gone, you get that sense in a lot of post-apocalyptic movies where it's time doesn't mean anything anymore. You're surviving one day to the next. You're living from the second your head lifts up off the ground from sleeping till it hits the next night. Like, that's your fucking life. You're not looking in terms of weeks and months and shit, because it's like, it doesn't matter anymore. You know, there's zombies all over the place, or a virus has wiped the planet out. So it's just like, I guess, I don't know. This struck me while we're going through this, though, where I've never considered it before. But it's like, what if the ball put some kind of poison in that actually is allowing the slip? The fact that Eddie pointed out specifically and said this hasn't happened until that fucking ball. Yeah, I've never noticed that until now. Where it's like, it's like, and again, Roland has been our primary like voice of this world. What the fuck does he know? He touched that thing when he was 4. He went into that thing at 14.
Yeah.
And did we get any sense that Roland's time was slipping before that age of 14 when that happened? Like,
hell no.
So, like, yeah, like, was there ever a time where it's just like, oh, yeah, I missed Court's class because time slipped? No, absolutely fucking not. Like, so it's just like, it makes me kind of want, maybe it's new fan theory for me that it's like, did the ball like do some kind of low level corruption? And we saw it with Rhea too. She lost all space, all track of time and everything else. That's why she started to starve her pets and stuff. So it's like, there's another data point to show maybe the ball, you know, and obviously it went way further with her with the poisoning, but it's like, maybe if there's a small minor poisoning and now suddenly time's just going to start fucking slipping on you.
Well, it also makes you wonder, because if like Roland is like a chosen one, you know, of the chosen line of Eld and everything like that he's always said, you know, like, I'm from the line of Eld, and he's chosen to go to the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
And we know that people keep trying to get him to stop going to the Dark Tower. We just had a note from Flag saying, cry off. This is your last chance, last warning.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder does that play a part of it too? Like, is that decision affecting the world? Is Roland putting that out there? Is he that powerful? That kind of thing. It's just interesting to think about, like, how did time break?
Or
when did time break?
We talked about this a few weeks ago. What's the power behind the balls?
Yeah. We never found anything out about them.
No. And it's just like, so that goes to a larger thing. Like, yeah, if the entire world is being corrupted, like, what force is behind those? I don't know. It's just an interesting thing that kind of hit me like a lightning bolt when we were going through this, where I was like, holy shit, I wonder if the ball is like some sort of like, because again, Roland's been talking about time being funny almost the entire fucking story. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're right. There's been some people who have talked about time being funny, but I don't think it's as supernatural as this 30-mile fucking slip that we just saw a little while ago. Like,
or a day lasting 40 hours.
Yeah, that's insane.
Or a day lasting 12.
I mean, we all
like, that's what Eddie was kind of hinting at, is like, it's afternoon and you can see dusk coming. Like, think about that. Like even in winter, that's not right. We're talking like afternoon, like 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon is what I'm picturing.
Yeah.
And you're seeing dusk coming. Like, that's what happens at like the extreme north and south poles kind of thing, you know? The far reaches of Canada and down in like Antarctica and shit like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen, you know, here.
Yeah. Yeah, but very, very wild. I don't know. It's just kind of a new.
It's something we're gonna have to keep an eye on.
New thought for sure. Because like like I said, we didn't even lock onto it, but I'm really glad that Eddie pointed it out. That it's like that's when it started. It started because
gives us a data point, gives us a start point.
Yeah, indeed.
My other note here, about time they mentioned Oi. Also, Jesus, Eddie, don't you dare write something about how you were wondering what a bumbler tastes like. I forgot that I wrote that. That was more for Tad than for the audience, but yeah, I wrote that, so Tad didn't write anything about that. And
the first thing that Eddie said when he saw Oi was, "Do they taste good?
Can we eat them? They're kind of tough."
Yeah, he's like, they're kind of tough.
Like,
he's like, it's kind of weird. Dog. It's like eating a dog. So, that's all I'm saying is Eddie is now showing a pattern of wanting to eat that little bastard. I mean, he tried to eat Jake, so it's fair.
Did not. Stop it.
One finger at a time.
You stop it. Going on, Eddie had said that they had daylight left and they started walking again along the path of the beam. They had pushed on through endless open fields divided from each other by belts of scraggly, annoying underbrush. There had been no sign of people. The skies were filled with clouds during the day. Sometimes they opened to show the blue, but not for long. One night they got a glimpse of an ugly-faced full moon that Roland pegged as the peddler, meaning it was late summer. To Eddie, it looked like half past no time at all. There was little game, and sometimes they went to bed hungry. None of this bothered Eddie as much as the lost hold on time. No hours, days, weeks, seasons, for God's sakes. The moon told Roland it was late summer, but the world around them looked like the first week of November, dozing sleepily toward winter.
I'm okay with that.
You love winter, so yeah.
One fall.
Fall's the best season.
Yeah, telling me
Hands
that
down.
being in midsummer or late summer and it feels like November, like that sounds like fucking heaven to me.
Especially with like the 90-degree weather we're dealing with right now.
90. It's 100 degrees right now.
Oh damn! My watch says 95. You're not wrong.
Yeah, I was looking at my phone earlier, just curious, and I looked it said 101. I was like, good God. Yeah.
My note: we are in late summer now. If someone said that, and it looks like someone said that it was late summer, and it's the way Eddie is describing it, I'd be off too. Because I'll tell you right now, we live in a desert. It is. I mean, obviously, where we live is a metropolis, so it's not exactly like like desert.
Yeah.
But there is a sense that when we hit November, it reminds me every time of the passage that Mike Hanlon has in It. The world's going to sleep again. Autumn's the pull the covers up to your chin, tuck yourself in, go to sleep kind of.
Don't you poison autumn by making it like going to sleep. Sleep is terrible. Autumn is great.
I love sleep. I love sleeping. You're weird that you don't like sleep.
It's a waste of time.
But it's just like
yeah.
If someone was saying that's what it looked like, I could picture that in my mind, and so can you. We've lived in this state our whole lives. If you picture Utah like those first couple weeks of November, where it's starting to it's getting cold now. I can feel it dropping in temperature. We're going from the 90s. We're hitting highs of 50s,
yeah.
Maybe low 60s. Like that's the highs we're hitting. It's definitely sweater weather. Pull out a jacket kind of thing.
Yeah.
Put those pants back on and everything. But then someone's like, "Yeah, it's the beginning of August." I'd be like, "You're fucking nuts."
Yeah.
Like you're insane.
Yeah.
And that's what Eddie's dealing with right here.
Yeah. And my next note here, and Eddie is he's kind of same as our mindset, right? And the New York Tet, they're from a highly regulated world when it comes to time. There are bus schedules, work times, TV show start times. Our entire world is very fixated on time.
Yeah.
If one had to be pulled from, again, like I said earlier, like the pre-railroad frontier west, everybody's way less worried about time, right? But it's very jarring for our Ka-tet now being taken from New York, very rigid, our modern day stuff, and thrown into a world where time is just like, oh, we're going to meet sometime in the afternoon. And it's like, but because that's the best you can, I mean, in some case you could do, I know there was like, watches back in the Old West, but it's like, people weren't as like regimented of like whatever. It's just like, yeah, no, we'll meet you here at sundown, or I'll meet you here, at noon or whatever. So it's just like, because you're just not a slave of time.
A lot of times, if you watch like Old West movies, it'll be like, I'll meet you here. It's never when.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the person go there, and then they have to wait.
Or they'll say like afternoon, which we know afternoon is like a 3 to 6 hour window, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, because it's who knows when the person's going to get there.
Right.
They don't have an interstate to drive on and stuff.
No.
So, this would be very jarring for our New York Ka-tet to be pulled out of a very structured world and thrown into this world of just like, it's kind of like all of us feel it to a minor extent when you go camping.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, back in the day, especially like before cell phones and stuff, it's like when you went camping, like shit doesn't matter anymore like that. Like you're not watching the clock. You may not even bring your watch. It's just you're going out to unplug from everything like this. You're now permanently, these guys are permanently unplugged from
There were times where I went, and I camped a lot when I was a kid, especially with like the Boy Scouts and stuff like that. But there was also I would camp with my in-laws. We would do an Easter camp out. We would do a reunion camp out and everything like that. There were times in both places we would go, no cell phone signal. Back then, there was no cell phone signal. I didn't have a cell phone when I was a kid and stuff like that. There were times where people would be like, hey, it's time for lunch. And I'm like, 10 o'clock in the morning. They're like, yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'd look up and see the sun, and I'm like, yeah, I still don't know how to read that, like what time it is. That's foreign to me.
Yeah.
Like people are like, look up and they're like, yeah, it's like late afternoon. And I'm like, the sun's in the sky. Like,
yeah.
That's great. More power to you, but I can't do that.
Also, I wish our moon changed during the seasons.
I know.
And at least have one season that has a face on the moon. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Tad would love that.
That'd be fun. Especially if it was spooky season.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Can you imagine what you could tell kids and scare the dickens out of them?
Oh, yeah.
Time to Eddie was being created by external events. When a lot of interesting shit is happening, time goes fast. When nothing but boring shit is happening, it slows down. When everything stopped, time apparently quit altogether. Just packed up and went to Coney Island. I stopped here because I'm like, okay, that's pretty standard for all of us, right? Like,
Yeah. Or if you have a lot to do, 4 hours feels like one.
yeah. You're like, shit,
when you-
how's 4 hours already got past? I only got half of what I wanted to do done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you that I had a busy morning. Tad knows what's going on with me and everything. And yeah, time flies. It
Yeah.
goes by fast when you're
Yes.
doing stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Eddie started thinking about if everything had stopped happening as he pushed Susannah's wheelchair to yet another field. The only thing he could come up with is that they had started considering what Jake called the mystery number, which probably meant nothing. They needed to solve a riddle in the cradle of Blaine, and the answer had been the mystery number, and it was just a holdover from that. And what could be special about the number 19, really? Mystery number indeed. Susannah pointed out that it was prime, like the number to open the gate in the cradle. I actually think it was multiple.
They had to do,
Prime
they had to do
numbers.
all the prime numbers.
Yeah, that's what it was. So I put that wrong. Sorry. Eddie added that it was the only number to come between 18 and 20 when you counted, which had made Jake laugh. He then told Eddie to stop being a jerk. Eddie, who was sitting close to the campfire carving a rabbit that would soon join the dog and cat already in his pack, told Jake to stop making fun of his only real talent.
Yeah, indeed.
I love Eddie so much. I skipped to my last note here, but I love Eddie so much. But 19, Interesting.
Yeah. Good people were born on the 19th.
Tad was born on the 19th.
Tell you that much. A number that we've seen in this story before. It was Allie's number. And it's had random occurrences throughout the story
Yeah.
up to this point. So definitely not a new number.
Yeah, also, that's the end of the subchapter.
Yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
that part.
Indeed. All right, so let's go on over to subchapter 2. So they had been back on the path of the beam for 5 or 6 weeks. When they came to ancient ruts that had certainly been a road. It didn't follow the beam exactly, but it was close enough for their needs. As my grandpa used to say, close enough for government work. Eddie thought being on the road again might refocus things and shake that feeling of motionlessness, and it did not. So 5 or 6 weeks. Figure we can clock that for as little as we get call outs for the passage of time in this story. I mean, sure, when we have ticking clocks like Magus or whatever, we've had it. But like when you go and zoom out of this overall story so far, you don't get a lot of time. Because like I think when before on roundtables we've talked about like how long is this journey overall, and we won't go into like any details there, but it's like it's ambiguous. Like I don't think
I was going to point out books 2 and 3, just even books 1. Book 1, 2, and 3, because like you said with 4, it's a little bit different because we have such a ticking clock through the the flashback.
Yeah.
That's a little bit different. But honestly, when you look at books 1, 2, and 3, I don't think, even with our deep dives here in the book club, I don't think you could give me an exact estimate of how long each book took.
Yeah, because I brought that up before when it comes to like, well, you know, when they start making the show, like it's going to be tough because like if you're not doing an episode every season, Jake's going to be aging up and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I've said it's like, honestly, I don't think there's that much in the story that dictates that it has to be like, you know, under a year or something like that,
Yeah.
right? Like
aside from the fact that Jake is still the age that he was when he was pulled in book 3, but that's very easily changeable.
Yeah, 100%.
That is not something that has to stay
Yeah.
the same. These characters can age, and this journey can take years. I don't think that takes anything away from the story.
Not at
If
all.
you told me that from book 1, Gunslinger,
This took 6 years.
to Wolves of the Calla, this took 6 years, I'd be like, yeah, that okay.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think there's any proof otherwise,
And
aside from Jake's age. But again, here's the question. Can we trust age in this world if time is fucked?
Yeah. No, it'll be fine, but it's
Yeah.
just definitely interesting to get a call out on time.
Absolutely.
So-
No, yeah, and I like that you pointed that out because this makes me wonder about this season again. Eddie said it felt like early November, but Roland said it was more calendarly, like August. What does it feel like now after 5 to 6 weeks? I wonder, like, is it getting colder? Is it staying the same? Did it heat back up? Like, it just kind of made me wonder about that.
Yeah, indeed. I wonder how many roads follow the beam more or less without people ever realizing it.
Like the birds that just
Yeah, like is there just a natural draw that most roads are, you know, roughly following the beams?
I would not be surprised if
a majority of them were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was like the sub like roads that are like the ones that connected them or like the ones that weren't, but most of like the major thoroughfares like in this world like just so happen to follow beams.
That's just how the civilization was laid out. like when you look at older civilizations, if you look at them on a map, majority of the time close to water.
Yeah.
That's just the thing. In this world, I wouldn't be surprised to see civilization follow the beam.
Yeah, without even realizing, I bet, in a lot of
Exactly.
cases, right?
Yeah.
Well, they say all roads lead to Rome, so all roads lead to the tower. Is that
Hey.
what we're saying here? So
That would be a good sticker. Have the dark tower and then it says all roads lead to the tower and have like 12 roads coming into the tower, like the beams.
Indeed.
I like that.
So I hate it when you think something will break you out of a rut and it just doesn't.
Oh God, it's the worst.
That's a very thing that we could all relate to, I think.
Uh-huh.
So it took them, so going back here into the text, it took them up across a rising field like stairs to the north-south ridge of the other side, which was a dark wood, and it felt like out of a fairy tale to Eddie. Susannah shot a deer on the second day, or third, or fourth, and the meat was delicious after nothing but vegetarian gunslinger burritos. The forest had no orcs, trolls, or elves, Keebler or otherwise, and no more deer. So yeah, dark wood, that sure seems comforting.
I would have issues sleeping in a fairy tale woods. Like how they describe fairy tale woods. I've slept in the woods.
What woods do you find most creepy in our world?
In our world, the Pacific Northwest.
That's what I was going to say.
Dude,
Bigfoot woods.
The Bigfoot woods.
Yeah.
Dude, the problem is like I've heard stories. My dad has a story that a grizzly bear was 7 feet from him and he had no idea. That's how dense the foliage is. And I don't think a lot of people realize just how dense it is. I visited the Redwoods a few years ago, but down in Murr, California, just outside of San Francisco, it's got nothing on the Pacific Northwest. It's got nothing on Oregon, Washington, Idaho up there.
Yeah.
You've been to that part of the country for business. I know you've driven through it.
Yeah.
And you commented to me, you're like, dude, those woods, man, that's Bigfoot woods.
Yeah.
I love that you came up with that term.
I don't think that it's necessarily the woods, but of course Appalachia is going to be the worst place in the world.
I would never ever sleep there. I would sleep in a swamp before I slept outdoors in the Appalachians.
Ambush predators.
I would deal with the ambush predators of the swamps and the night folk over the Appalachian. I'm not game. I'm not game with the Appalachian. Daytime, as soon as it hits 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock at the latest, I'm heading back into a civilized city away from that shit.
Yeah, but it sounds like it gets out into the civilized areas too.
It's always on the outskirts. You never see it in downtown like Nashville. So that's, Louisville, Kentucky doesn't have it in downtown Louisville. I'm good there. I'm not going out into the wilderness. There's nothing to draw me out there, though.
The Appalachians.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely.
Agamorphy does point out the concordance does calculate the timelines, but I think that's all estimate for sure, because I just don't know that we've got. I mean, maybe though, because of like these timestamps like this,
maybe.
like maybe there's a good way to look at it. Maybe we'll have to dig into that at some point, maybe on a round table for sure.
Yeah.
So, shooting a deer with a revolver is no easy task, and she is a badass for sure.
Absolutely.
So, and then vegetarian, yucky.
Ugh. It's my nightmare.
Yeah, it's terrible. Eddie said he kept expecting a candy house and what might have been a week wandering through the woods, but he knew they were still somewhat close to the beam. He could feel it. Roland asked if the candy house came from another tale, and if he did, he wanted to hear it. Eddie thought, of course he did. He was a glutton for stories, especially the ones that started with "Once upon a time," when everyone lived in a forest. But Eddie did not care for the way Roland listened. It was off, and Susannah nailed it, as she so often did. She had an almost uncanny knack for putting feelings into words and freezing them into place. She said Eddie didn't like Roland's way of listening because he didn't listen like a child, but like an anthropologist trying to figure out some strange culture through their stories. Eddie didn't like it because if anyone should look at things like a scientist, it should be them after all. Or it should be them because after all, they came from the more sophisticated society, didn't they? So
yes, yes.
Let's see. Let me find my place here. I just accidentally scrolled here. Okay, so so this is why I picked this chapter. This is one of my favorite small things about Roland, because honestly, I've always recognized that you can tell a lot about a culture by their stories, be it fairy tales or scary movies. It really informs you about the mind of the people. Mm-hmm. And like when I did that 50 horror movies in like 2023 for October, it's like when I watched a Mexican horror movie, like there is just an inherently different vibe to that movie than there is is from an American horror movie, and it's so
Yeah.
radically different. It's like
It
because
is.
it's because the cultures are different. So it's like I've always appreciated that, a ton. So like this is something that's always drawn me into to like Roland's way of thinking.
The fairy tales is the big one for me. Is when I found out that a lot of like the Disney movies are based off of like fucked up stories, like really messed up stories
yeah.
from different countries,
Mostly
and stuff like
German.
that. Mostly German is true. But there's a few that are in other countries as well. And then looking into like other fairy tales and hearing other things, it's like, damn, that's crazy. The one that gets me also is not just necessarily their fairy tales, but their superstitions.
Yeah,
You know?
which those are usually tied.
Those are pretty tied in, yeah,
those are
yeah.
hand in hand for sure.
Yeah.
And it's like again because all of that tells you so much about the
Mhm.
people and their culture and stuff. So it's like I completely relate to Roland in this. So
Yeah.
also interesting note that Susannah just being able to nail something in place. I feel like that's something that I'm somewhat good at as well. I think-
This is the only note I'm putting in this section. You are very good at it, and you don't give yourself enough credit. It is scary sometimes where I'm trying to describe something, and Tad's like, "Yeah, it's this," and I'm like, "Holy fuck,
yeah.
you nailed it in one!" Like, damn.
Yeah, and then it becomes the Tadisms, right?
It is. It is definitely becomes the Tadisms. There's a lot of them like that just exist. I've told people stories about how you describe things, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's the most accurate way of ever describing that. That's how I'm going to describe it from now on." And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's Tad for you. That's just what he does."
Yeah. Also, I love the arrogance of Eddie here, and it's so realistic. People love to do that with history and stuff as well. They just assume just because someone's from the distant past that they're inferior, but usually the opposite's true. It's like
Yeah.
it's like someone living in Alexander the Great's day. That person is a lot smarter than you or I ever could be.
Yeah.
It's like yes, maybe we've had all this time to like learn whatever, but it's like the things that they had to deal with, the things they had to like go through, the things they had to survive. Like they were smarter than we were. For us to just like inherently think, oh, they're in the past, therefore we're smarter. It's like that's one of the biggest flaws of
they
history.
figured out how to survive in their world better than we ever could.
Yeah.
And that's where would they survive in our world? I think our world holds your hand way more
Yeah,
than back then.
and they're
did.
more adaptable.
Yeah.
So
back
it's like,
then, you didn't have a trade, you didn't have a job, you didn't have something you were good at. Guess what?
You died.
Starved to death.
yeah, you die.
You die.
Exactly.
That's
So,
what happened. I just wanted to add on one thing that you added here is one that my coworker said this the other day, and you know this person. I'll talk to you about it afterwards. We were talking about a World War II book that I was currently reading, and they were like, "Oh, what is it? What's it about?" And I told them, and they were like, "Oh my god, that sounds interesting. I want to read that." And so we got on the subject of World War II and Germany specifically, and how the Nazis rose to power, because that's what the book was about. And they were like, I just find it fascinating that everyone thinks that they would be the ones hiding the Jews, but 90% of us would just be the good Germans doing what they're supposed to, following the laws and stuff like that. And it's just like,
and
we have that moral superiority,
Yeah.
especially us Americans,
yeah.
and slightly the Brits as well, because we were the good guys in that conflict, right?
Yeah.
So when we look back, it's hard for us to look at the Germans and be like, I would never do that. But honestly, it's just like, man, it really made me look hard at myself. Like,
Yeah.
man, would I?
And I
Would I risk my family's life?
and that's what I was going to say.
Would I risk my daughter and my wife's life to hide a Jewish person in my house?
No, and that's where I'd say I don't think you would, because
Yeah.
it's like, again, yeah, you've got your family. That's where most of them were. It's like that's why those leaders like that rule by fear, because it's like
Yeah.
it keeps people in line. Because it's like, well, I'm not putting my own life in my own hands. That's one thing, but if I have a wife and kids and like whatever, it's like
I kind of wanted to bring that up when I saw your notes here, because it's so similar to what we're talking about here. Is that Eddie's just got that instant, well, we're obviously more sophisticated than them, right? And it's just like, well, are we? Like we could question it. Is 2026 society better than 1926?
And remember Roland's reaction to the cops just lighting up the store with people
Yeah.
all around, right?
Like there's civilians here. Like they could kill a civilian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, from a man that massacred a whole town, of course. So it's just like,
I mean, that was in self-defense, though. They were out to get him.
oh, there could be some jokes there. So they did find a number of stories that were shared between the worlds. Roland knew a tale called Diana's Dream that was eerily close to the Lady or the Tiger. Are you familiar with that one?
I my note down here, I have not read it.
Okay, so I Googled it because I don't think I have either, which it says all of the New York gunslingers had read in school. Lord Perth was very similar to David and Goliath.
I know that story.
Roland knew many of the tales of Jesus and he said he had a number of followers in this world. There are also songs shared by both worlds, Careless Love and Hey Jude are some examples. But in Roland's world, Hey Jude started, Hey Jude, I see you, lad. Eddie spent at least an hour telling Roland Hansel and Gretel, turning the witch into Rhea almost without thinking about it.
There it is.
He broke off asking if Roland knew this one when he got to the part about fattening the kids up. He said no, and to finish, Eddie did finish with, and they lived happily ever after, and Roland nodded and said, and I got this straight from the book word for word, no one ever does live happily ever after, but we leave the children to find that out for themselves, don't we? Oof, that's a tough one.
It's hard to tell your 5-year-old, hey, by the way, the world fucking sucks, my guy.
Yeah. You know what I will say? Let's give credit to Disney. They do a good job of that.
Oh, yeah.
Bambi's mom, Old Yeller.
Oh, and they
Redfern
continue doing it.
Do they in the new
nowadays.
stuff? I don't know, man. The trauma we were put through in our, also not just us, but like Gen X is somewhat even a little bit older.
It's
like Disney's been
definitely-
doing it for a long
It's
time.
definitely softened, and I've actually seen that as one of the major criticisms of Disney is like, stop that.
Yeah.
Like bring back the stories that were good, and some of those do include that trauma.
Yeah.
But I will say that there are a couple movies within the last 16 years, 2010. I will say that there have been a few movies that have had a oof moment for
guess Up.
kids. So Up was
Yeah.
one. I will say Inside Out had one that was beyond someone dying, that was really good, especially not only for kids but also for parents.
Yeah.
And I will say Moana had a death in it that was not obvious, but obvious enough that it got you in the feels.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I know you don't watch those kind of movies, so that's why I wanted to.
Yeah.
It is definitely not anywhere near the age of Bambi
Yeah.
and Snow White, even where like the witch just, you see Snow White's hand just bleh,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
you don't see that kind of stuff in movies anymore.
Yeah.
And that's where I think my biggest gripe, man, these villains today, they're just too soft, man. I miss my scars and my
yeah, I was gonna say,
Jafars and my-
where do we end it with Lion King? What have you done? Dead Mufasa.
Damn, that was savage, man.
All right, so Jake agreed. Of course he does. And Oi echoed him, including his glum inflection. Eddie said, too bad he is here. If he were in New York City, he'd have his own child psychologist working out his issues with his parents and maybe some good drugs like Ritalin. Jake said he'd rather be here. Eddie says he doesn't blame him.
Yeah.
So I wasn't familiar with Lady and the Tiger, but it's an interesting story. So you have like the king has like the, you know, I don't remember if it's a daughter or whatever, but it's like ends up kind of falling in love with this like more commoner. And there's like, it's like kind of a whole love triangle thing going on. But then at the very end, like the king has this whole like execution thing where it's like he puts someone in like an auditorium and like there's two doors. Behind one is like a lady, behind another is a tiger. And the person has to choose which door to open.
Jesus.
And the one that he's in love with, but then there's also another person. So there's like a potential that the royal lady's, you know, jealous. And she tells him, hey, don't worry, I'll tell you which door to open. And the story ends. So it doesn't tell you what she tells him a door, but you don't know what the actual, is
What
it going to
the
be the
result
tiger or is
was.
it going to be the lady?
Damn.
So because there's enough jealousy in there that it's like it could go either way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
She got him off by getting eaten by a tiger.
potentially. So yeah, I've never read it. Must be something that kind of got lost in the late 80s into the 90s and stuff,
Yeah.
because I'd never even heard of it until this. So also changing a Beatles lyric, no wonder this world moved on. They just they deserved it.
I do love the similarities between the world, knowing Jesus, that he has followers in Roland's world. I think they even mentioned it in the first part, the first episode we did, the man Jesus is what they
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
So,
We also, Sylvia Pittston was preaching the Bible.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, we've definitely seen it for sure. So like maybe the Ka-tet's learning it, but we as readers, we're long
away.
familiar with
Well away.
with it. Yeah, indeed. I love Eddie getting that far into the story before almost getting defensive as if Roland knew it. That's usually more with jokes, but then again, he is a joker, so just like that guardedness of like, wait, have you heard this one? But it's like fattening the children up. That's pretty deep into the story, man. Like, way to get 2/3 into the story before wondering, like, hey, Roland, have you heard this before? Like,
it's like, hey, right before we do the climax. Hey, by the way, have you heard this?
yeah. It's like, wait that long, yeah. And that is a great line about letting kids figure it out on their own. Reminds me of the a line from The Godfather. Men can't be careless. Only children can be careless.
Yeah.
Don Corleone says that. And he also says women. He's like, women and children can be careless, but men can't.
Yeah.
We're careless, you're going to die type thing. So,
Yeah.
no, I don't know why that it's not a direct connect, but it's like that line came to my head. So moving on here, Roland questioned why it was called a fairy tale when there were no fairies in it. Eddie said it was more of a category and explained some of the genres. Roland asked if people in our world only wanted one story flavor at a time, which that's a funny term of phrase there. It's story flavor. One taste in the mouth. Susannah said mostly. Roland asked if no one ate stew in our world. Eddie said for dinner, but not so much at the stories. We tend to stick with one flavor at a time, but it does sound boring when you say it that way. But then my note here, Roland, brother, if we didn't mix flavors, your story would not have got out of the first book. So, because I was like, even as I'm reading this, I'm like, man, this came out in like 2003. Like, that's not really true, man. Like, even when you go back to like the 80s, I think there was plenty of like genre, crossing streams and stuff. Like, I don't know. So I guess I disagree with the New Yorkers here, where I'm like, even in their times, I'm like, I don't think that's true. Like, I think we've always liked to cross pollinate genres and stuff, right?
I mean, you get like the movies that are like, yeah, it's a comedy, but it's also a Western, Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Right? That's multiple genres, right?
Yeah.
But it's still a Western.
Yeah, but it is multiple genres.
I mean,
though.
but also at the same time, McClintock is a John Wayne movie that's mostly funny. It's not the usual John Wayne movie. Western and a comedy.
Yeah.
It's still just
Paint Your Wagon.
Still just
Western and the musical.
Still just a Western, right? Like, like.
Well, no, because I think that's
where,
I think that's reductive. I think that's reductive.
And I think that's what they're doing here. Is it's like, oh, hey, there's horror movies at the theater. Let's go see them. But it's a Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, that's also got elements of comedy with it.
Or Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah,
horror Western.
Yeah, horror Western.
Audiences are divided on whether it's a good movie or not.
It's a very good movie.
Audiences are split. You don't know. Such a good movie.
I get it. Now.
If you can trick someone into it and just tell them it's just a normal Western, I highly suggest you do that. So Roland asked,
should I do that with my dad? Be like, hey, I got this really cool Western that was
and your mom.
God, no. No.
Oh, Hayden did it to his mom.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think she quit before they got to the finale. But
boo.
She did. His dad watched, but yeah, she caught wind early enough that it was not what he was selling there. So
that's a shame. Did he have a camera set up?
No, I don't think so. Oh,
wait, is that what we're gonna watch tonight?
No, everyone's already seen that.
We're doing something new. Okay.
So Roland asked how many fairy tales there were, and without planning or coordination, they all said 19, and Oi repeated it. They all laughed because the number had become almost a joke amongst them, replacing Bum Hug, which Jake and Eddie had worn out. There was some unease with the laughter because 19 thing had gotten a bit weird. When they brought wood for the evening's fire, it's their armloads. There would always be 19 pieces for reasons none of them could articulate. Roland had spotted a tree whose branches made it the shape of a 19 clearly, but Roland, who believed in omens and portents like Eddie used to believe in light bulbs and AA batteries, dismissed their infatuation with this number. They had grown close, so their idiosyncrasies spread amongst them like a cold. He believed Jake caused this to some degree. He had told Jake he had the touch, maybe not as much as a land, but he had it. Jake did not know what he was talking about. Eddie did, and figured Jake would in time if time ever passed again. When Jake brought the Muffin Balls, it did. So then that's the end of the subchapter. So definitely some kef being shared here, or just plain silliness. Now the wood makes me think maybe not silliness, but then again, it's like can't think it's in that whole number 23 thing though. It's like when you get something in subliminally, like
Yeah.
are they just grabbing because now they're subliminally like looking for 19? So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
ever since I've read this series, that's 19 is everywhere for me.
yeah, and it's so what
You
the
know?
number 23 ultimately points out is like when you hyperfixate on something, it's not that it is any more prevalent then after that than it was before. It's just you're noticing it now.
Yeah, like
it's like
when you buy a blue car.
exactly 100%. Yeah, or if you're wearing some odd colored shirt that maybe you wouldn't normally wear, it's like now suddenly you're noticing anyone that's wearing that color shirt.
Yeah,
it's just
because you're involved with it.
yeah,
Exactly.
And I've even seen it with models of cars. It's like I don't think I ever noticed, the model of car I'm driving now and how nearly pervasive they are. I knew they were high selling,
Yeah.
but it's like now I spot every fucking one.
You're like,
it's-
oh, there's one.
Yeah,
There's 3.
exactly.
There's 5.
yeah. So interesting that Roland doesn't really believe it.
Yeah, this is where I forgot to put my note in. Why? Kind of shocking, right? Like, why doesn't Roland believe in it? He went to the Oracle for like fortune telling. He went to Martin for fortune telling. Like,
yeah.
like it's kind of
And-
interesting that he's just like, yeah, this is bullshit.
And you know what's funny is when I was reading this the first time, I remember at this point I was just like, "Okay, I don't believe it's anything either. It's in there. It's in there all
Yeah.
their heads. Because if it were something, Roland would be interested. The fact that Roland's not interested, it gave me as a reader to say, I'm on your side, Roland. It's fucking stupid. They all just need to just ignore it because they're inventing most of it most likely anyway. So, and then Jake has the touch. So that should be pretty handy. Maybe is that the first like revelation we have of that?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think if there's anything previous that gave us any indication that Jake would.
Wasn't there something in Lud? I thought there might be something in Lud.
I don't remember.
Roland reaches out to him like, "Open the door, Jake."
Oh,
Jake, open the door.
yeah, you're right. There's that, but it's like
I don't know if that's necessarily, is that Roland or is that Jake or is it both? It never really, they don't have time to talk about it. So this is the first time where it's explicitly
overtly
like,
stated.
yeah, let's talk about it. You know, kind of thing.
Indeed. So that's the end of the subchapter.
All right, so going into subchapter 3, they had stopped for lunch. More uninteresting vegetarian burritos for Tad. The deer meat was gone, and the Keebler cookies were a little more than a sweet memory. When Eddie noticed Jake was gone and he asked the gunslinger if he knew where the kid had gotten off to, Roland said that he had peeled off half a wheel back, pointing out with the remaining 2 fingers on his right hand. He is all right. If he weren't, we would feel it. That's the line I mentioned earlier, that they would feel it.
There's a connection of some kind.
He took an unenthusiastic bite. Eddie opened his mouth to say something, but Susannah got there first, pointing out that Jake was back. My note here, man, they're not very observant, are they? Jake left them a while ago. Half a wheel? Is that what Roland said? Half a wheel or a wheel? Half a wheel back. Yeah. Even if we assume that's half a mile. Yeah, that's a long way to go without noticing that one of the 3 other people are with you.
Yeah. David said in the chat, I love Roland, but sometimes he does discredit ideas that aren't his own. I don't know, because there was some stuff earlier in the book that they were kind of fixated on a little bit, and he didn't really care as much, and it turned out not to really be a thing. So I guess that's why I'm kind of siding with Roland, where it's just like...
Agamorphy says maybe he dismisses it because it's a symptom without a reason.
Yeah.
You got to have a reason for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Roland is definitely that logic kind of guy.
Yeah. So my note here, Jake can take care of himself. He's faced more danger than the other 2 New Yorkers between Dutch Hill and Lud. I think that is why Roland is not worried. Like,
Yeah.
And then as I started to kind of think through and catalog, I'm like, I don't think that's an unfair statement to say that Jake's faced more danger. Because it's like, the lobstrosities are dangerous. Yeah, Detta was dangerous to an extent, but it's like, the Dutch Hill fucking monster and the gatekeeper creature and then fucking Lud, like that's he's been through a lot, man.
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing,
and he survived.
The biggest thing that Susannah and Eddie have under their belts is Shardik and I always mix it up, the grays or the pubes.
Yeah,
whichever one they faced off with.
None of that was that big of a
grenade
threat.
and knives.
Yeah.
Like,
so
one time shooting someone brought them to a halt.
Yeah,
so,
for adults as well as Jake's also a child.
But then also all of them dealt with Blaine, so Jake was there with them experiencing
that.
So
that's like an equal. They're all equal on that.
But Lud with Gasher and everything.
Yeah. And then on top of that, the Dutch Hill monster. Let's not forget how fucking god awful that was, right? Like that.
The entire house tried to eat him.
Yeah, pretty much. So thinking about the various dangers, though, how do you think Jake would act towards Susannah if he had been around for the Detta stuff? Do you think he could get over it? Because like being a child, I think it's a little bit tougher to overcome maybe like that trauma, like you get like a really young kid that gets scared by an uncle and like for the rest of their life they just don't like that uncle very much. Like it's like there's like an innate thing there where it's like it's not logical, but it's like I've never thought about that till now, but it's like what would have happened if Jake had been on that beach and like had to deal with like Detto? Like, do you think he's ever gonna not side eye Susannah a little bit? Like he might trust her to an extent, but it's like that would create a barrier between those two that would never be destroyed.
I had an uncle that was a little bit of a dick, and even when I got older, it just it never went away. Even though he couldn't do he had this thing where when he would shake your hand, which was always required in my family, he would roll your knuckles. You ever have someone do that to you?
No.
Oh God, it hurt.
Yeah.
And especially when you're little kid hands. He's got his big man hands. He's just rolling your
yeah.
So mean.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just never thought about that till just now when I was thinking through all the dangers. I was like, oh shit, like that. Good thing Jake wasn't there because that.
Yeah.
Eddie obviously love has blinded him, so I don't think it matters to him. I think Roland's always going to have like a little element of like I think he respects Detta and like the fact that it's captured in Susannah now. I don't think he's like worried, but it's like any more than he'd be worried about any of them. I guess.
Think also Roland was in Odetta, Susannah's
so he
mind,
knows, yeah.
So he knows that it's fixed. There's not a question for Roland, on if it's fixed. Eddie's blinded by love, but if Jake was there, it would be like, "Hey, Roland, you sure, my guy? Like, can we trust her? Like, are you sure?
Yeah, indeed. If something was wrong, they'd know it. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
that's an interesting call out there from Roland.
Yeah. So going on, Jake's arms were full of round things the size of tennis balls. These balls would never bounce, though. They had thorns sticking out of them. When the kid got closer, Eddie could smell them, and they smelled wonderful, like fresh-baked bread. Jake says these might be good to eat. Jake said they smelled like fresh sourdough bread from a place called Zabar's and asked if they knew the place. Susannah said that she did, and they were the best of everything.
And I always forget that those are the closer two. Because Jake's the 70s, she's the 60s, so that would make sense. Because I always want to think like, oh, Jake's the furthest down the line, like he's in like the 80s.
He was the last one drawn.
So it's like if she and or if Susannah and he both knew, it's like, oh, so that's like a 30-40 year restaurant. But no, they're only a decade or so, apart.
Or just a little bit more away from each other.
Yeah, so that's I always have to remind myself.
She was taken in 62.
It was months after JFK, so 64, early 64.
Early 64.
He was
70. Jake was 77. So less than 15 years apart.
Yeah, so that's not that big. But I think it's just because the age thing, I always want to flip it and think like, let's put them all in the timeline, and Jake's going to be the youngest, so therefore Jake's in the 80s. Like I always do that for some reason, so I always have to check my brain.
I always do that Jake's the farthest away from Susannah because he was the last one drawn. Like, they're drawn in order, right? Of course they're drawn in order. That's how you do a story, right? Nope.
Yeah, no.
Not with King.
Yeah.
They smelled fine and then asked if Jake ate any. Jake said no way, and he looked at Roland.
Smart kid.
The gunslinger ended the suspense by taking one and plucking the thorns off and biting what was left. Muffin balls, he said. I haven't seen them in God knows how long. Don't want to eat the thorns. They aren't poisonous, just sour, which, means about 89% of America wants to eat them right now. I don't get the fascination with sour. It's not my thing.
No.
I am very much a sweet guy.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like my candy.
And I'm not even
stuff.
that much. I will always take a bag of chips over candy even.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
I'm hit or miss. Like sometimes I just crave chips. Other times I'm just like, dude, give me this bag of Reese's peanut butter, Reese's cups. I want those.
Yeah, that's.
Roland said they had a little deer fat left and they could fry them and they would taste almost like meat. Eddie said he would skip the mushroom muff divers. Susannah took a bite and said that Eddie shouldn't skip these. Like her daddy's friend Pop Mose said, these were prime. Maybe, Eddie said. Then he said that he had read a book back in high school of a chick who had poisoned her whole family with wild things like that, he said, pointing. He bent towards Jake and raised his eyebrows and smiled in a creepy way. Poisoned her whole family, and they died in agony. He then fell off the log he was sitting on, rolling around, making horrible faces and choking sounds. Oi ran around him yapping.
Probably trying to attack.
It's not a child, so he never would.
That's true.
I've never cared for sourdough, but man, I love the smell of fresh baked bread.
Sourdough might be my favorite bread, actually.
I
love sourdough. But yeah, no, fresh baked bread, it's top 10 smells of all time.
It's up there for me. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder, like, did like modern kids, like, did people cook bread nearly as much as like our parents did and stuff? Because I just wonder, like,
I think it's making a comeback is what's happening right now, because I've been seeing so many things where it's like, you don't need a lot to make bread, guys. Like, look, it's 3 ingredients. That's what you need to make bread.
Here's the thing I'll say though, cooking in general is an art. Baking is a science. If you get one thing slightly wrong, it's fucked. So I will push back on that and say bread is not as easy as you think.
3 ingredients, throw it in, let it rest, let it rise, roll it, do the dough stuff, and then bake it. I mean, if I can do it, I think other people should be able to.
Yeah, I don't know. Muffin balls. They smell like bread, but Roland says taste like meat when you cook them. That's a very bizarre thing.
Well, remember, they're cooking them with deer fat.
That's weird.
I think that's the whole point, is like the deer fat is absorbed by the muffin balls, and that's what makes them.
Agamorphy does say pandemic did bring back home baking a bit. No,
yeah,
it's true. But I just remember that's one of those, like, childhood nostalgic things, is like, going to my grandma's house and she was baking bread, and like just that fucking smell just invading the entire house. It was glorious.
Oh yeah, you walk into someone's house who's baking bread and you're just like,
and the thing is, the bread was never as good as the smell.
No.
Never.
No.
It was the unfortunate thing you learned, where it's like, well, it's never going to be as good as it smells.
Yeah.
So,
Eddie not wanting any of these kind of surprises me. He usually trusts Roland with this kind of thing, doesn't he? Or is it just for the joke?
Yeah, I mean, with Eddie, you never know. Might just be for the performance here. So
flip a coin, right?
Yeah, it is very weird though. Seems a bit strange, but although him acting the fool here is pretty standard.
Exactly. Roland told him to quit going on. He asked Jake where he found them. Back there, Jake said, in a clearing. It was full of them. Also, if you guys are hungry for meat, there were all kinds of signs. Scat, fresh. His eyes searched Roland's face. Very fresh scat. He spoke slowly, as if someone who wasn't fluent in the language. Roland told him to speak plain, but low. What worries you, Jake? When Jake replied, his lips barely moved. Men, watching me as I picked the balls. They're watching now. Susannah took another ball and pretended to smell it, said, back the way we came? Off the road to the right? Yes, Jake said. Eddie raised a fist to his mouth like he was coughing and asked how many. Jake said, I think 4. Roland said 5, possibly as many as 6, and 1 is a woman. 1 was also a boy not much older than Jake. Jake looked at him, and Eddie asked how long they had been there. Roland said since yesterday. Cut in behind us almost from dead east. Susannah asked, and you didn't tell us? Her tone was rather stern, not bothering to cover her mouth or lower her voice. Roland looked at her with the barest twinkle in his eye. I was curious to see which of you would smell them first. Actually, my money was on you, Susannah. She gave him a cool look and said nothing. Eddie thought there was more than a little Detta Walker in that look.
And here's the thing. Let's just revel in the badassness of Susannah, that Roland thinks that she would have found him first.
Mm-hmm.
When Jake has the touch.
Yeah.
Let's just marvel at that for a second here. So, because I don't know, I do think throughout the history of me reading this book, I do think I've underrated Susannah quite a bit over the years. I've come around on her a lot over the last 5 or so years, maybe longer, 8 years or so. But it's like, as we're going through this, it's been really, really fascinating to like look at those things where it's like, wait, a few pages ago we just got revealed that Jake has the touch. I mean, overtly stated that he has it.
Not as powerful as the lamb, but it's still there.
And Roland's betting on Susannah still to spot these people first. Like, that is wild.
Yeah, but damn, Roland, that is savage to talk to her like that.
Yeah, and then speaking of Detta.
Yeah, we were talking about it.
Talking about her earlier.
Going on, Jake asked what they should do about them. Roland said nothing. Jake asked what if they are like TikTok's Ka-tet. Roland says they are not, and Jake asked how he knows. Roland responds, because they would have set them on them already and be fly food. And I paused. That is a line I want word for word on the screen.
Yeah. And he's not wrong. I remember thinking, though, at some point we got to run out of folks that would be easy to dispatch. At some point in the story, we have to be given some sort of formidable opponents, right? Because mostly what we've been running into is like, Winston and some of the folks that were just easy to kind of dispel. Like at some point, that's got to stop. I remember thinking that reading this the first time, where I'm like, at some point we're going to be running into people that aren't just easy to like, it's not just the Luddites or just the, the toll folk. Like
Yeah.
we're going to run into some people at some point where it's going to kind of kick us in the face. So
Yeah.
now, of course, we know what's going on here. The characters don't, but like we've seen the prologue, so we know what this is. But it's like, I remember thinking that though, where it's like, be fly food. Yeah, Roland, at some point that might come back and bite you a little bit because King's too good of a writer that we're not just going to keep running into the most easy to overcome.
I mean,
opponents.
we do also we do
bullying
also
aside, right?
we
But-
do also have to remember that Roland was able to massacre an entire town on his own because we're in a world where there is no guns. So
yeah,
very few guns that we've seen have been
not working.
Not working or not working great is the other way I would say. Like the machine gun that was in TikTok's possession
Yeah,
didn't work fabulous, but it still shot.
yeah.
So
But did that come from our world though?
it did.
So,
So, there's a few guns,
yeah,
how many have crossed over, how many still work and everything.
yeah.
But so that's where it's like, okay, we do need that.
But I just remember
Yeah.
my normal storytelling mindset, though, as I was like definitely thinking, though, where it's like we're either at some point gonna have to split the Ka-tet up, like I know we did in Lud, but it's like at some point we're gonna have to be in a spot where like Jake's on his own, and because otherwise, like, what's the drama? Just like why did Roland lose his fingers? Because like
Yep.
if Roland has full capabilities throughout this story, then
he's invincible.
then what the fuck's the point of the other Ka-tet members? Like it doesn't matter. Like it's kind of the whole Justice League argument. It's like what the hell does any of them matter when you have Superman there?
Yeah.
Type thing. So yeah, I just remember thinking that though at that point the first time reading where I was just like, yeah, these aren't enemies now, and Roland just casually throwing fly food. I'm like, I wonder at some point though we're going to be running into something where it's like, oh god.
I wonder though. Counterpoint. Not saying you're wrong, but I think is Roland senses enough that he would recognize that, okay, this is actually going to be more than just TikTok's guys. Caliber.
Yeah.
I think that's where we would have to trust Roland's instincts, right?
Oh yeah, I do. I'm not even necessarily like doubting Roland's like, whatever. I'm just saying that when I remember reading that for the first time where I'm like, oh yeah, because I agreed. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like these guys, but that's when it hit me where I'm like, well, there's not drama if your heroes are completely untouchable. I'm like, so at some point the rope's going to run out and we're going to be running into enemies that are not particularly Winston, and
the Power Rangers lose their ability to morph and they have to go find the animal ones in the movie, you have to up the ante a little bit.
Exactly. So just the storytelling part of me back when I read this back in the old days, that was my thought.
I gotcha. Going on, there was no reply to that, so they took to the road again. Before they had been walking 20 minutes, Eddie heard the sounds of their pursuers. He was disgusted with himself for remaining unaware of them for so long. He also wondered what young cullies did for a living. If it was tracking and trapping, they weren't very good at it. Eddie had become part of Midworld in many ways. Some were so subtle he wasn't consciously aware of them. However, he still thought of distance in miles instead of wheels. He guessed they had traveled 15 from when Jake joined them with the balls to when Roland stopped them for the night. They stayed in the middle of the road like they had since the palace and built a fire. They were settling in, and Eddie and Susannah went to collect wood. Susannah said to look to the left. Eddie did and saw a campfire. Eddie said they weren't very good, were they? Susannah said that she felt a bit sorry for them. Any idea what they are up to? Eddie asked. Susannah said no, and they will tell them when they are ready. Either that or they will decide that we aren't what they want and sort of fade away. As they headed back, Eddie counted the sticks in his arms. 19. Suze, he said, time is starting up again. She didn't ask what he meant and just nodded. Seems like the strangers aren't even trying to hide anymore, building a campfire right where they can see it.
Yeah, or as Eddie said, they're not good at it, which honestly, because the prologue, we know these are just simple farming folk.
Yeah.
Being like undercover is probably same thing if like Roland just wasn't around to teach our Ka-tet and they were just thrown into this world. Do you think they would be able to conceal their campfires and stuff?
No.
No. Would they be able to get a campfire going at all is the first question. And the second question is, even if they did, it's probably going to be quite visible. So, that's kind of my thought is like, they're farmers, man. And simple farmers. This isn't like, these giant industrial whatever. Like, no, these are simple folk.
Yeah, exactly. So. 19 again.
Yeah.
Keeps cropping up though.
Indeed.
And that was the end of the subchapter. I forgot to say that.
Yeah. So subchapter 4. So Eddie's resolution not to eat the muffin balls didn't last long. The smell of them sizzling in the deer fat Roland saved was too much to resist. He ate them and said they were as good as lobster, and then corrected himself to Nathan's hot dogs when he remembered the monsters on the beach. He also apologized to Jake for teasing him, and Jake's waved it off, saying he never teased hard. I mean, I think Eddie and self-control are not really synonymous. So, historically speaking here. Also, hot dogs and lobsters, not a lot of people who would put those two things at the height of their culinary delights.
Yeah, Eddie's built different, though, you know. But also, what the hell would Eddie have been able to afford lobster? It's not like he was rolling in money when he came from New York. He obviously wasn't thinking about the lobstrosity, because there's like a line where it's like, he said lobsters and then he thought of the lobstrosities. It's like, so he's not correlating the two.
It's when he's down in the Caribbean.
Oh.
He's on other people's dime.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the first time he had it, too.
Nailed it.
Would be my guess.
Nailed it.
So Roland smiled, which he did a lot more these days, though his eyes were serious, and warned them that muffin balls sometimes brought lively dreams. Jake said he means that they were they'd make you stoned, and he's a little bit uneasy remembering his father. He explained when Roland didn't understand, and alluded to the succubus that would have initiated Jake sexually and then fucked him to death. But Roland had made it speak and punished, and to punish him, it sent him visions of Susan. Jake broke Roland from his thought process by saying his name. Roland told him not to worry. There were mushrooms that did what he was thinking, but muffin balls did not do that, and told him that if they had vivid dreams, just to remind themselves that they were just dreams. So that's a fun thing to say after everyone eats it, right?
Yeah. Okay, by the way, now that you've eaten that, this could cause explosive diarrhea.
It's like the whole thing where it's the whole thing where it's like, hey, try this. It's like, what is it? I'll tell you after you try it.
I've done that and had that done to me.
Yeah, indeed. So Jake immediately goes to them getting him high. His dad must have been something. Good thing he wasn't around for Junkie Eddie too, because going back to the trust issues there.
Imagine if he had been.
Yeah. This could have been an entire different Ka-tet.
This would have been a really different Ka-tet.
So
Roland and Jake just stay together over here by themselves.
So what we're saying here is the good thing Jake died in book 1.
God. I love the line about Roland smiling more these days. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Reminder of the succubus. King is doing a lot of recapping to start the book, but it's not really feeling ham-handed necessarily.
Like I said earlier, I love the way that he's doing it, where it's like someone is remembering it and telling us how they felt about it, versus a narrator telling us, Roland had dealt with a succubus, da-da-da-da-da,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, Roland's world has the Beatles, so it must have hallucinogens. One begets the other.
They cannot exist otherwise.
Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship there.
It's one of those ones that like you unlock the ability to have the Beatles in your world as you're creating the world, and it's like,
wait, wasn't LSD made in the 60s? Like the guy that synthesized it for the first time?
I thought it was a little bit before that, but maybe it was.
Google that.
My Google searches from this podcast are so fucking weird.
Watch it be like the same year the Beatles like hit their first album. That'd be hilarious.
Jesus Christ, 1943.
Oh, that's right. But it was later on that he
was first synthesized on November 16th, 1938 by a Swiss chemist, Alfred Hoff.
Oh, I thought the one guy that like did it was like the guy that was around for a long time, and like he always claimed like he had been doing it nonstop for like most of his life, and it had no ill effects on him and stuff.
Looking for blood and breathing stimulants, Hoffman accidentally comes in contact with the compound again and feels unusual dizziness and dreamlike state.
All right, well,
yeah, looks like it's
certainly popularized in the 60s, so
yeah.
So Eddie thought Roland's little speech here was odd. He never really cared about their mental health before, and he was not one to waste words. He thought things had started again. There had been a bit of a break there for a bit, but the game was on again. He asked Roland if they were going to set a watch tonight. Roland said no and rolled himself a smoke. Susannah asked that he didn't really think they were dangerous and motioned to the woods. The campfire in the distance was out, but the people were still there. She could feel it. She noticed Oi looking in that same direction, and it didn't surprise her. Roland said he thought that was their problem, which, hey, we know because we read the prologue. you're not wrong, Roland.
Yeah.
That they're not dangerous. Like, that's why they're coming to you guys.
Yep.
Eddie asked what that was supposed to mean, but Roland spoke no more on it. He simply laid on the road with the deerskin under his neck, looking up at the sky and smoking. Later, they all slept with no watch, and they were not disturbed. So, sharp observation by Eddie. That's pretty unique. I think it could be tough for us as readers because we just spent virtually an entire book with young Roland that had a lot more heart and passion. So to remember the older version can be jarring now, right? We're back into the modern day where it's like, yeah, Roland is not one to care.
No.
So, Eddie thinks the game is back on. That's comforting.
Yeah.
So, and then Roland seems to have surmised a lot about the town folks in the distance.
Yeah, classic Roland too, not telling everything, not giving the Ka-tet a heads up right away, kind of letting them feel it out. I mean, we got to remember, they're kind of like apprentices, so he's still like testing them and stuff like that. So it's just like classic Roland, like we were in book 3.
Yeah, 100%. And he was right. No issues in the night, though if there had been, there would have been some bodies.
Fly food. So Subchapter 5 is extremely short, so I'm just going to quote the whole thing. I just figured that would be easier than trying to summarize it. The dreams, when they came, were not dreams at all. They all knew this, except perhaps Susannah, who was in a very real sense, was not there at all that night. My God, I'm back in New York, Eddie thought. And on the heels of this, really back in New York. This is really happening. It was. He was in New York, on 2nd Avenue. That was when Jake and Oi came around the corner from 54th Street. Hey, Eddie, Jake said, grinning. Welcome home. Game on, Eddie thought. Game on. And then I just put my note, oh, man, a shared dream?
And my note is, though, is it, though? We can't be sure he's not just a figment of Eddie's dream, though.
Yeah. The fact
ultimately.
that Oi's there just kind of like was like,
well, yeah, if you're going to dream about Jake, Oi's going to be right there.
I mean, I guess that's true.
So, also, Roland did warn them. So
Vivid
you
dreams.
know, vivid dreams. So, into the through the looking glass here as we move into the dream world,
Into the wizard's
so,
class.
moving over to chapter 2 now. So that is the end of chapter 1, and chapter 2 is titled New York Groove. So, good old Ace Frehley song.
Yeah.
So it's a catchy song too.
Very cool.
So subchapter 1. So Jake fell asleep looking into pure darkness with the clouds. Because of the clouds, there was no stars and no moon. And and as he fell asleep, he had the sensation of falling. In his old life, he had the falling dream around exam time, but they had stopped since his rebirth into Midworld. When the falling feeling stopped, he heard a chiming melody that sounded like the Thinny, but it also didn't. Just as he felt he could bear it no longer, it stopped, and the darkness behind his closed eyes turned into a brilliant red. He opened his eyes cautiously and was shocked to see New York. So the absolute pure blackness of being so far removed from society is one of my favorite things, but I don't think I've ever experienced it with clouds to where I couldn't even see the stars and the moon. Usually I could just see like every fucking star that's ever existed, it seems like.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if I've ever experienced true blackness like that. Like, outside, right? Like complete cloud cover. Like I don't think I've ever experienced that.
The closest I've ever come is being on a cruise ship at night. It is fucking unsettling how dark it gets out there.
Yeah.
And the one of the nights that we were out there on the cruise, it was overcast. It is, aside from the cruise lights, it is fucking dark.
Yeah. I will say I've been out, camping again. I can see the stars, but I have been out with a new moon, and that's like to the point where like where my mic is, maybe that, like this far in front of your face, you couldn't see.
Yeah.
Like you put your hand up and I can't see my hand. Like that's how dark it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's always the fun one. Cause a beast can just be right off in the clearing.
Just stop it.
And cause they can see, right? So
they always can, fuckers.
So rebirth into Midworld is apt. It was very much like birth, being dragged through, midwived by the Ka-tet, and nearly naked. So that is a very apt description of his drawing is a rebirth. So, and then Thinny Noise, and then New York. This is all very wild.
Yeah.
So,
and the red, whatever the red was.
I think that was
flash.
just his like the light,
the sunlight from
going
New
through
York.
his eyes.
Yeah.
Like when you're in daylight and you have your eyes closed, going from pitch black to that, it would seem like you're almost being flashed with like, and the red is just your actual eye, like eyelids.
The eyelids.
Yeah. So taxis were all over in the sunshine. A young black man wearing a Walkman passed by Jake singing to himself. A jackhammer rang in Jake's ears, and the world was a total racket. And it was jarring since he had grown used to the quiet of Roland's world, and until now he had not realized how used to it he had grown. He grinned. He then heard Oi saying his name in a distressed voice. He was nervously at Jake's feet. Neither of them had their red shoes on, but it was just like their trip to Roland's pass through the ball. There had been no ball this time, just sleep. But this was no dream. It was far too intense, and it had too much texture. Also, everyone was walking around the two of them. Jake even saw a lady hitch up her skirt and step over Oi. Jake understood that no one could see them, but they could sense them, and they could be sensed, so they were really here. Then the first question, why? Jake thought about it for a minute, but then tabled it. Jake began to walk, and Oi was no city boy, nervously followed so close to Jake that he could feel his breath on his ankles. So, yeah, can you imagine what this is like for Oi? Like,
No.
I guess he was in Lud, but it's like,
That's not
this is
anywhere
different.
close. Lud was a dead city.
Yeah, this
This
is
is a very much a live city, like the way that Jake describes it with like the jackhammer and taxis. There's no cars in Lud.
yeah.
That alone right there is enough to send any animal scared.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, the juxtaposition between near silence and midworld has to be insane, and then to then go to New York has to be really insane. Honestly, if I'm Flanagan, I'm leaning into that, and I would have absolute silence, and I would jack the fucking noise way up when you make that click flip where you're now suddenly in New York to the point where it's like disoriented to the audience. That's how I would play it, because that's
what it should be.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, like mix it to the point where it's like, holy shit, like people are turning their volume down. It's like, what the hell's going on
Someone's watching it at 1 o'clock in the morning, wakes up their wife and kid and gets yelled at.
Yeah, indeed.
That's what Tad wants.
Indeed, 100%. And also, you got to make sure there's like absolute silence, no crickets, no noise. Like in Roland's world, it is pure fucking silent. So he thinks it's far too intense to be a dream, and that they're really here, at least partially. With the touch he has, I'm not really doubting him, right?
No.
So, yeah.
I can't ever remember having a dream where I realized that I was dreaming so that I could do like the cool shit. You know, like people are like, oh, I'm dreaming, I can fly, you know, kind of shit. I've never had a dream like that. Every dream I'm like, oh, and if I realize that I'm dreaming, I wake up.
Yeah, isn't that like the whole thing? Like once you realize you're dreaming, it'll kick you out of it in a lot of ways. Like I know what you're talking about, like the whole like lucid dreaming, but it's like I feel like that takes a lot of training to like not.
Yeah, it's like
happen.
a different thing where you're like, oh, this isn't real, but you don't go all the way to be like, I'm dreaming, you know, kind of thing. And I feel like my brain is always just like, I'm dreaming, like wake up.
Yeah, yeah. So I love he starts to think about why and then just passes on it, thinking about it, and begins walking the streets. He kind of just disengages from that thought process. Very childlike there. Also, Flanagan should get the song New York Groove by Kiss. It'd be a nice nod to the chapter title.
The guy with the Walkman walking past.
No, just I'd play it over as
New
soundtrack.
York Groove.
I just play it over as a soundtrack because it's
like when Jake starts walking.
Yeah, something to the point where, you throw that in because, again, all of us readers would know, oh, that's the title of this chapter in the book. Yeah. I just love those subtle things. Like, back in the DVD era, it was great because they'd actually make, like, the chapter titles names on the DVD, like the chapter titles from the book. Yeah. Lord of the Rings did that and stuff. But it's like, I think that's Flanagan's way. And honestly, can't be anywhere near as bad as trying to license the Beatles. Yeah. So he was noticing the streets when he suddenly spots Eddie looking dazed and a bit out of place in his deerskin and old jeans. Jake realized he probably looked no better. He thought it was good thing no one could see them. But then again, if they could, they'd probably be rich on change by noon. He called out welcome home to Eddie, who then commented on him bringing Oi. Jake said that he was like American Express. He never leaves home without him. Jake feels all bubbly and full of amusing things to say until he saw himself walking around the corner wearing the Dockers that he lost in Dutch Hill. It was him, but a him that looked so innocent and young. He wondered how he survived the mental stress of losing his mind, and that house in Brooklyn, even more the gatekeeper, obviously. He thought he must be made of tougher stuff than he thought. So yeah, that cuts the old fucking mood right off, right? Seeing yourself, that's got to be pretty shocking there. Because how many of us actually see ourselves? I mean, outside of dreams and stuff, right?
No.
These moments they point out their clothes always throws me off, because in my mind's eye, all three of them are always wearing normal clothes.
Yeah, that's one of my notice. Eddie still has jeans.
Yeah, like I'm always picturing like jeans, t-shirts. Yeah. Like I'm not saying that that's like logical, and I'm not even saying that's what it should be, but that's just my mind's eye when I see these characters, except for Roland, of course. Like
I always picture them in deerskins, because they talk about that in the beginning of book 2 about how they're making the stuff for themselves.
Yeah, it just doesn't stick in my brain.
That just always sticks with me for the 3, but for Roland, it's always a blue chambray shirt and jeans.
Yeah, so
that's what Roland was wearing. I'm convinced. through the entirety of the Dark Tower series.
Yeah. So then,
even when he was 14, blue chambray shirt and jeans.
yeah. So and then a pre-Dutch Hill Jake. Very
Crazy.
Interesting. Very interesting. And he proved to be made of tougher stuff the first go around in Midworld as well. Like going back to that, I think he was fairly tough in book 1. So Eddie did a double take that was so comical it made Jake laugh in spite of his shock. It reminded him of an Archie comic trying to look in a character trying to look in two different directions at the same time. He noticed Oi had a similar reaction, which made the scene even more funny. Eddie asked, "What the fuck?" Jake said, "Instant replay," laughing harder. He said it was like watching Roland in the ball, but it was the day that he cut class. And then Jake is plowed by an idea. He tells Eddie the rose. Eddie asks, "What about it?" And he said, "This is the day he sees it." Eddie recalls some of the particulars about it, and Jake says if they follow him, they could see it as well. Eddie's eyes blazed, and he said, "Let's go. We don't want to lose you, or him, or whoever the fuck." Jake said not to worry. He knows where he's going. So it's rare in life, but I have had a few experiences of seeing someone with the Archie comic-like state, and I agree with Jake. It's fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
I've seen it with Hayden a couple times where I don't even remember the details now, but I just remembered it was like over the top hilarious. So, yeah.
He would.
Yeah.
He would have that kind of reaction. I can't wait to see this whole thing on screen.
Yeah.
It just took it to my veins. Like, I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, indeed. Then the idea of the rose hits Jake and Eddie is buys it immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
right?
Yeah.
He would, right?
Yeah, 100%. And then I get Jake's thought, but I think I'd be paranoid that something would change and you might lose the other Jake. I don't know why, but even me as a reader, I was just like, I just don't trust King. I'm like, something's going to be different here. I'm just going to wait for.
What if this is a different Jake?
He's going to go left instead of right at some point, and then they're going to lose him. I know the way King works, and I'm just like, don't lose the fucker because it's not going to work your way.
Right.
I don't know. I'm paranoid, but yeah.
All right, so
That's the end of the subchapter.
Yeah, so going over, we're starting subchapter 2. The Jake ahead of them, New York Jake, spring of 1977 Jake, walks slowly, looking everywhere, clearly digging the day. Midworld Jake remembered exactly how this boy felt. The sudden relief from the arguing voices in his mind, "I died, I didn't," had finally stopped their squabbling. And of course there was the relief of being away from Piper School and the insanity of his final essay. The essay that counted for 25% of the total grade, and Jake's had been gibberish. The fact that his teacher later gave him an A+ didn't change that, only that not only him, but the whole world had lost its shit. Going 19. Being out from under all of that, even for a little while, had been great. Of course he was digging the day. Only something was off about this day. Jake looked around and couldn't figure it out. Late May, bright sun, a summer sun, lots of strollers and window shoppers on 2nd Avenue, plenty of taxis and the occasional black limousine. Nothing wrong with any of this, except there was. Everything was wrong with it. And that's the end of the subchapter. And I got my one note. Man, I couldn't begin to wrap my head around what Jake is feeling here. First, it's like all nostalgia and all like, yeah, happy-go-lucky. And then he's just like, everything is wrong.
Yeah. Also, I gotta just go back. I didn't put a note on it, but like with the whole idea of like, his essay was nonsense and like the grade doesn't change that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of. Have you ever heard the story of the Beatles song "I Am the Walrus"?
No.
Like, so very silly song and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Legit, the reason John Lennon wrote that song is because he had heard that there was like a school, a like college level class that was starting to study their lyrics to find like the deeper meaning. So he literally wrote that song to be the most fucking just jackacid nonsense because he's just like, oh, so people are thinking that any of this means anything because like most of
it's like Roland's thing about like not Roland's thing, Stephen King's thing about like why can't a story just be a story?
Yeah,
What is the eco-political ramifications of Roland wearing a blue chambray shirt?
Yeah, no, 100%. And like it's funny because like now with like the the Disney had that documentary a couple years ago where you could actually watch them developing the one album, and like literally like there were times you'd watch them where like they would just be like saying da 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 and like getting like the actual music worked out, and then after that they went and figured out what words could fit. Like this isn't some deeper meaning, and like I've actually also pointed out,
I need to write a protest song, so this is what I'm going to say. Now let's write music that fits these words.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't done that way.
They had some that actually meant something or whatever, but largely though, like for people to think like whatever, and it Yeah, it's King's mentioned it. I had another thought, but I think I just left my brain. But
No worries.
yeah, it's one of those things where people try to read into stuff that's just not. Sometimes it's just not that, right? It's something very simple. It's just it is what it is, and like
I wonder how many times people have died, met the poem writer, the book writer, the person who wrote the song, the movie, and was like, "What did it mean?" I just thought it was cool that Arnold had a shotgun that he could twirl.
yeah.
There's not more symbolism there? No.
There's a video out there of The Shining. It's Kubrick figuring out the shot of Jack with his head up against the door, like telling Wendy to let him in.
Yeah.
And with that, you could tell, like, he's literally just shooting from the hip. Because that's the one, is like that fucking stupid-ass documentary, the Room 237 nonsense, where, like, all this shit was, it's all this deep code about all these fucking... I'm like, no, dude. Everyone wants to think that, whatever, but it's like, you watch that video, it's like, he's kind of making this shit up as he goes along. Like, like, to an extent. I'm not saying maybe there was, but it's like, I just think that, I don't know, I think people try to read into certain people more than others, and
I think people do that with Marvel as well, as they're like, this means this, and it's just like, the dude just likes pizza, guys. Like, it's not a sign that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I mean, they belong in the Marvel universe.
He just likes Little Caesars.
Daredevil is the origins there, right?
I mean,
so
another level of the tower right there. That's what that
officially
is.
Like they've overtly said, like, the thing that blinded Matt Murdock, that ooze went into the sewer, and that was our Teenage Mutant Ninja. So it's like,
instead of fighting the hand, they fight the foot.
Yeah, indeed. So very, very ominous. Something, King wrote this in a great way, where it's just like, there's something off.
Yeah.
You're not sure exactly why or what it is, but something's off. So. Subchapter 3. So Eddie felt Jake twitch his sleeve and ask what was wrong with his picture. Eddie looked around but was adjusting to the New York that was clearly years behind the one he was used to, which is something I always, again, it's easy to forget. They're all from New York, but it's like, no. There's decades removed. Like, this is 88 back to 77. And there's a lot of change in New York in the late 20th century, so it's like, this could be disorienting. It's like, you can kind of understand, like, you're going to recognize the overall bones of the city, but there's going to be a lot of differences that are just like, what?
They could have changed the street signs from green to blue or blue to green, or
different businesses. They're like,
the taxis go from this color of yellow to this color of yellow.
Yeah,
it's not much, but all at once, that'd be pretty jarring.
Yeah. But he knew what Jake meant. Something was wrong. He looked down expecting no shadow, but they did have shadows. But they shouldn't. But they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be there, Eddie thought. Shouldn't be able to see shadows when it's dark. A dumb thought, though. It was not dark. It was morning. The sun was glistening everywhere. But it seemed dark to Eddie. The whole thing felt fragile as a canvas backdrop of a stage set, but behind it would not be various backstage things, but some dead universe where Roland's tower had already fallen. He thought, let me be wrong. Let it be a case of culture shock or the heebie-jeebies, but he didn't think that it was. So, happy thoughts from Eddie here.
Oh, yeah.
Happy thoughts. So that's very ominous. I can almost picture it, too. Just like, think of a scene of a bright morning, but you have it on your computer, and it's right when your computer's about to go to sleep, and it goes dark.
Yeah.
But it's like a bright, sunny morning, but your monitor just went dark. But like that, few minutes, like maybe a minute before it actually goes to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, we all have that, right? Like, especially on laptops, it's really big, where it'll darken for a bit. It's like warning you, like, hey, I'm about to go to sleep type thing.
Yeah.
It's
or like the battery's dying, so it goes dark, so it's like power save mode and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your phone does that. Like, if you have those settings turned on, that it'll like, or the adaptive screen, like if you go into the dark, it'll have that.
Yeah.
But to have that out in the sunlight would be very jarring. It'd be like, what's wrong with my phone and everything.
Yeah.
I always picture this like a TV was going out. I don't know if you ever had that with the older TVs. They would progressively get darker until you really couldn't see a lot of stuff in them.
Yeah.
And then you would eventually get a new TV and you'd be like,
yeah,
this is so bright and vibrant.
Yeah. Yeah. So such good mood building here. This is kind of painting with words I find wanting with the rare times I read fiction for other people other than the King. And I'm not saying every other author's terrible, but it's like, I don't read a lot of fiction. So whenever I venture out of King, when the few times I do read fiction, I do find there's times that I just am not happy with, like, the word smithery. And this is the kind of shit that I'm kind of looking for, right?
For sure.
This is just genius stuff. So Eddie asked how they got there. There was no door, and he kind of trailed off. Then maybe it was a dream. Jake said no, it was a lot more like when they traveled in the ball, except that there was no ball. Then a thought struck him, and he asked Eddie if he heard chimes before showing up here. Eddie said it was overwhelming, and it made his eyes water, and Jake agreed. Oi sniffed a hydrant, and the two waited for him to lift his leg. Now, did Oi hear the chimes?
Oh, maybe.
We never think about that, do
Yeah.
we? That'd be much harder on him. I mean, assuming bumblers have better ears, like dogs do, right? Dogs have great ears. We can't just assume that bumblers are exactly like dogs and they have like the great smell and the great hearing. Like maybe they don't. Maybe their hearing's worse than ours. I don't know.
Maybe it's the same.
Yeah. So ahead of them, Jake 77 was still walking slowly and gawking at everything. Eddie thought he looked like a tourist from Michigan. He even craned his neck up to see the top of the buildings, the tops of the buildings. He thought he didn't seem very New York of him, but it did make him easy to follow. Just as he was thinking Kid 77 vanished, he asked where he went, and Jake said to relax, and Oi chimed in axe. He said he went in the bookstore, the Manhattan Restaurant of the Mind. Eddie said that's where he got the riddle book and the wholesome Charlie the Choo-Choo, and Jake agreed. So, of course, wholesome, right? Charlie the Choo-Choo, very wholesome book.
Was that word actually in there?
Maybe.
No, was it?
Maybe.
No, you added that, didn't you?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So Eddie loved the mystified, dazzled grin that Jake had. It lit his whole face. Jake asked if he remembered how excited Roland got when he heard the owner's name. Eddie did. Calvin Tower, the name had been. Jake said, hurry. He wants to watch. Eddie didn't have to be asked twice. He also wanted to watch. So very good question. How did they get here? Because we assume this is not a one-sided dream. Eddie is not just we have to assume that Eddie's not just a character in Jake's dream, just like earlier we had to assume the other way. We really aren't going to know 100% for sure until the next morning when we wake up and compare notes and make sure Eddie was at some part in New York with a Jake that's just his figment of his imagination. Jake's and they don't really connect, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't know that until they wake up. But yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, Roland said these balls made them have weird dreams, and this is definitely weird.
Muffin balls, though.
Muffin balls, that's what I
Yeah. We have other balls that we've been discussing that, the pink
the
one.
muffin balls,
So,
yes.
Yes. So they both heard the chimes that overwhelmed Jake, a clue mayhap.
Yeah.
So, and then strange that Kid 77 is acting so unnatural for a New York kid. I don't recall that in Wastelands. I don't recall him
I don't either.
Yeah.
I remember him taking the day in and remembering how he was awestruck how beautiful it was and everything.
So maybe that was
the perfect day, but
yeah,
they didn't talk about him looking up and
at the buildings
sightseeing and basically
because New Yorkers don't do that.
But also, it's
just like we don't look at our
told-
mountains.
Yeah, it's
right?
told from his perspective. I love every time I see one of those posts where it's like, how do Utahns do anything when this is what you get when you walk out of a Walmart and it does the Dune music?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah,
they are up there.
yeah,
And that's the way New Yorkers are. It's like they don't.
I can see them out of Tad's window if we open the blinds. They're right there.
They're not looking up at the top of the buildings. That's just so ingrained in their
Yeah.
the normalcy. So, good to see Jake smile. The kid deserves not to be miserable.
Yes.
So,
If
yeah.
there's ever was a kid that deserved not to be miserable,
Yeah, King is a monster.
he is.
So, I remember wanting to see it too because my guard was up for something to be different. Not sure exactly why again, but I had my braces kind of up for my hands are up a little bit where I'm like, "Okay, King, what are you going to do to us here?
Yeah.
What fucking different ass thing's going to happen here that's going to throw us through a loop?" I just was bracing for it because I'm like, you're not going to spend this time to just go and show us the exact same fucking thing that we've already seen because that'd be kind of wasting paper a little bit, right?
Yeah. Why are we here?
I know that the future people are now seeing it, so maybe you're getting something from that. But there's just part of me that's like, something's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Just I'm on guard.
Exactly.
So that's the end of the subchapter.
All right, so going on to subchapter 4, which is our last subchapter of the episode. Jake stopped in the doorway of the bookstore. His smile didn't fade exactly, but it faltered. "What is it?" Eddie asked. "What's wrong?" Jake said, "Dunno. Something's different. I think it's just so much has happened since I was here." He looked at the chalkboard in the window. Eddie thought it was a very clever way to sell books. It looked like what would you see in a diner or a fish market. And a reminder, the bookstore is the Manhattan Restaurant of the Mind.
Yeah.
So,
Which I will say, if I were going to steal any number of King things and make a real business, if I was going to do a bookstore, I think I'd take this. We used to have over in Murray, there used to be that store that they opened called Needful Things. It's not there anymore, unfortunately. I never went in.
now you wish you had?
Yeah, especially I hadn't read the book.
Maybe it's good that you hadn't.
But I think the restaurant
He would have asked you for a favor.
Yeah, Restaurant of the Mind though, I probably wouldn't do Manhattan.
Yeah.
But it's and then make it look like a fucking whatever. Because most bookstores have places to sit down and read and shit. Dude, make it booths and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that would be fucking cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Exactly.
You don't see enough themed like stores, restaurants, but not
Yes.
stores. So
Not even enough themed restaurants anymore.
no, not much anymore.
No.
We also need more animatronics in our restaurants.
No.
Go to-
The less animatronics in this world, the better.
I said it in our just our private chat a month or so ago. It's like I think we need animatronics like Chuck E. Cheese like in parks and shit.
No, fuck.
Could you imagine just walking through at your neighborhood at night and looking over at the park and seeing an animatronic silhouette?
No. Tad, no.
That'd be fun. The best.
No.
The question there is if that did happen, what's worse, no eyes or the eyes light up?
The eyes light up. That means it sees me. No eyes, it's powered off, and it's just waiting for the sun to come back up to power it.
So of course, then you look away, then you look back, and it's gone.
That's even worse. So I quoted here the menu that it is for the bookstore. Today's specials from Mississippi: pan-fried William Faulkner, hardcovers market price, vintage library paperbacks 75 cents each from Maine, chilled Stephen King hardcovers, market price book club bargains, paperbacks 75 cents each from California, hard-boiled Raymond Chandler hardcovers, market price paperbacks 7 for $5. And I always had loved the menu specials here too. This is just fantastic.
Yeah, and I have to pause here. Stephen King reference.
I beg your pardon.
I mean, we saw reference to the film The Shining in book 2, but a full-on book reference in a King book, that's fucking wild.
That is meta.
And I know that like they're in New York, but it's like it's kind of one of those things there's like almost a rule in general media, especially the old days, like you don't self-reference.
Yeah.
Right? The Simpsons don't know there's a show called The Simpsons on television, even though they're in like some version of America. It's like that there's just some element of it, or it's just like you don't do it. No. And so to have again, the Shining reference is weird enough, and I remember us kind of pointing that out. Where it's like, wait, that's a Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah.
Because Eddie references it because when he's watching The Doors, he's like, it's like the steady cam. He's like, oh, it's like that movie, The Shining, and we're like, we side each other.
You couldn't have picked any other movie with steady cam. You had to do that one.
Yeah, it is certainly iconic, but still, and also apt for Eddie's day. It would have been a year older, so so very, very apropos for him. But at the same, again, a King book though, because it's like, what if you just kind of? I feel like there's a step removed to having a King movie. It's like, okay, King movie, whatever, but a King book, like, which book is it? Like, let's go look, please. Like,
well, apparently it's a collection of them, because remember what it says is that it says
hardcovers,
chilled Stephen King hardcovers, market price, book club bargains, paperbacks 75 cents each.
Hey, Eddie, Jake, go see if they got a first edition Gunslinger. That'd worth some moolah.
Yes, exactly.
And then give it to me if there is one.
Yeah, exactly. So going on, Eddie looked beyond this and saw that the other Jake standing by a small display table. Kitty books. Probably both the 19 fairy tales and the modern 19. Quit it, he told himself. That's obsessive compulsive crap and you know it. Maybe, but good old Jake was about to make a purchase and very likely save their lives. He'd worry about 19 later. Come on, let's go in, Eddie said. Jake hung back. What's the matter? Tower won't be able to see us if that's what you're worried about. Tower won't be able to, Jake said. But what if he can, pointing at his other self? What if I see myself? Eddie supposed that might happen. Hell, anything might happen. But that didn't change what he felt in his heart. I think we're supposed to go in, he said. Jake said, yeah. And he came out as a long sigh. I do too. And that's the end of the subchapter. And that's where Tad decided to leave us for this episode.
It's all the percentages.
Tad is a monster.
It's all the percentages, and it worked out. We're pretty much right at that, almost at the 2 hour mark.
Right at that time.
So I guess we found our percentage too, because these first few episodes, you always
gotta figure it out.
It's
different. It's different per book.
Yeah, depending on the thickness of the book. So, So at least Eddie is calling out the obsessive compulsive crap with 19. Because it's funny. I said it earlier though, but I sided with Roland because maybe it is because of Roland, but it's just like if Roland's not seeing anything with it, because we've also seen it where Roland plays cheeky a little bit, where like there is something, but he's just not going to tell you. It's like that's a different read. But like when Roland just has like no interest.
Yep.
Because it was something with like it was their obsessions in book 3, something about the books maybe. because I remember he was all about Char because that's death, but there was something they were hyper fixated on with like some of the.
He's like, dude, you gotta let it go.
And he just didn't even care. He just kept move on. What else? So he just and like if I remember right, it didn't really mean anything to the story. So I guess I just trust Roland.
Yeah.
Inherently. So
yeah, I get it.
And then Jake worried about being seen. I mean, he did have to deal with the consequences of reality shaking things previously, and it wasn't pretty.
Yeah,
so.
I mean that's my note. Don't mess with your past self. I've seen this in many movies.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Again with the 19, King is really driving this one home. I know what you're saying, but like what Roland's saying, but it's just like, man, King is not letting this one go.
Yeah, I will say, I just thought of it now though. If I were Jake, I'd try to trip the other Jake just to see what happens. Can you?
'Cause.
Can you trip him? That's what I'd want to know. And you got to try it with him. You don't want to just try to trip some random normal person.
Could be fun.
Yeah, indeed. All right, yeah, that's it for what we got here. So yeah, we're now introduced to our Ka-tet again. Last episode was the first, or the last book club was our first book club ever that we didn't have a gunslinger. We didn't have Roland. We didn't have Eddie, Jake, Susannah, no one. It was very strange, but yeah, here we are back with them. We are now full on in this book. Again, as Peter said at the beginning, we will be back in 2 weeks, even though it's like kind of abnormal for what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Which will be Labor Day weekend for the American side of things. But we will be back for that. But it will be a book club, not a roundtable, because this is actually the next week's. Because when we delay an episode, it's usually a week between episodes. But we're not doing it because we had to delay that one as well. So that is a book club. Don't go in thinking that it's beginning of September. It's going to be a roundtable. No, it is not. Unless
September 12th is the first episode.
Unless some weird
September.
shit happens. That's.
I mean, if they greenlight a fucking Dark Tower series, we're pulling the book club episode.
Yeah, there's certain.
We
rules.
might even record for Saturday. We will see when that happens. Tad's gonna send out the Peter signal and just be like, "It has happened. We have a series green light." And I'm gonna be like, "When are we recording?"
And it's just like
and we're gonna look at our schedules.
It's middle of the night. For some reason now we're wearing suits, but they're like the jackets are taken off and like the shirt's unbuttoned a little bit, and we're smoking and like the old 1960s like newsroom when they have breaking news in the middle of the night, and it looks like that.
We're breaking into your normally televised to let you know that Mike Flanagan finally pulled his head out. No, I'm just kidding.
Amazon.
Amazon.
Most likely.
Amazon, most likely.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, so another book club. We'll be back to continue on with where we left off here in a couple weeks. And then after that will be a single week before the roundtable. So
that'll start us off for September.
Yeah.
Officially.
Yeah. So very, very, very discombobulating, which is apt for what we got going with the book right now.
Yes.
But yeah, let's go ahead and hit the outro stuff. If you want to subscribe to us, you can do it on any podcasting delivery service of your choice. You can stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Audible. You can join us for the live streams here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. Of course, like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Otherwise, we're going to get more oi cooking going on in the story here.
Stop it.
And then the show notes are over at darktowerpalaver.com. There's no show notes for this episode, of course, because it's a book club. And then if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. And then if you want to contact the show, Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
Best way to reach us is through email. It's show@darktowerpalaver.com. You can also find us on Threads and Instagram. It's Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. And then we're on Blue Sky. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then we're also on Twitter. It's at Dark Tower Pod. That's at Dark Tower POD. And then facebook.com/darktowerpalaver is where you find us on there. And then tpublic.com/user/Dark Tower Palaver. Get yourself some Dark Tower Palaver merch.
Indeed. And we'll sign off so we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.
Oi. All right, everyone in the chat, thank you all for joining us. And yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks. And until then, have a good one. Enjoy the the upcoming holiday if you're in the States. I get when we'll be with you next. But maybe enjoy some cooler weather, hopefully.
Hopefully it cools down.
God's sake. All right, see you guys.
Bye, everyone.